What's going on, everybody? Jordan here with you. It's a Thursday, June 11, 2026. Before we join in progress with Mr. Alec Nava, we will get into the starting lineups. It's a 2-2 series, so no elimination today, but this is the pivotal swing game to see who goes out in front, one step closer to the Stanley Cup. Head coach by John Tortorella, it's the Vegas Golden Knights. Jack Eichel, Ivan Barbashev, Mark Stone, Braden McNabb, Shea Theodore. Will Karlsson, Brett Howden, Mitch Marner with Jimmy Lozon, Erasmus Andersen, Colton Sissons, Tomas Hertl, Theodore Fiev with Nick Dowd, Cole Smith, Keegan Kolsar. Noah Hannafin, Dylan Coghlan will be the back line. So maybe Rasmus and Hannafin have been split up. Carter Hart will be the goaltender of record. And for the Carolina Hurricanes is they're back at Lenovo Center. Head coach by Rod Brind'Amour. It's Sebastian Aho, Andrei Svechnikov, Jordan Martinook, Jacob Slavin, and Jalen Sheffield. Logan Stankoven, Taylor Hall, Jackson Blake with Keandre Miller, Sean Walker. Jordan Staal, Nick Ehlers, Seth Jarvis, Mark Jankowski will carry and Eric Robinson. Shane Gostisbehere and Alex Nikishin will be the defensemen on the backhand line for line three, and Brandon Bussey should be getting another start in that today for the Canes. So in our last game, Carolina won 5-3. Brandon Bussey got his first ever start in the Stanley Cup Finals. He was a waiver claim from the Cats. He got the win just stopping 18 of 21. Peter Kochekov was the backup. I'm assuming it's going to be the same again. Carolina had a blazing start as Logan Stankoven scored off the backhand from a shot that Jalen Sheffield bounced in front of the crease. Jackson Blake then scores in the power play as Hull hits a pass between the legs off Lozon. Jordan Staal had a deflection in front of the net. That was all the first period goals for Carolina. Mark Stone then answers in the breakaway, faked a slap shot, scored forehand past Bussey. It was 3-1. 3-3 after two, though, because while Bill answers on a one-time from the left dot, Brett Howden hits a bar-down snipe. The game-winning goal, though, is Staal again. Jarvis was denied on a backhand slot, but Staal scores while falling down. It's a diving effort over the glove hand of Carter Hart, and that's enough. Ehlers scores on the empty net from 200 feet. Hart was 23 of 27 on the loss. He's given up at least 4 goals in every game in this series. So will he even be thought to be a backup to Adin Hill at any point? I don't think John Tortorella is going to make the move. And I'm going to ask you, who's got momentum now? Let's join Alec Nava in for the pregame. He'll get us set today, and he'll close. I'll take the second and the start of the third.
In our nation watches, Nick Suzuki had one first place vote, which, oh my goodness, Zakara. This place to be loud. It's John on his job board here. How you doing, John? We're back in Raleigh.
Yes, we are. And I think it's time, Alec. I know a lot of the times we've gone through this pregame, a little bit of postgame, and we've said, honestly, I know where you're leaning, but the Carolinas got the advantage. We've seen this back and forth like a volley. Wins have been traded between Carolina and Vegas, respectively. But I do think it's time the Carolina Hurricanes win a couple games in a row. I know Brandon Bussey, again, only 18 of 21 in the win. But Rod Brind'Amour made the first adjustment by making the goalie change. Don't look like John Tortorella is going to make that goalie change for Carter Hart. And again, you might have to think about it at some point. If I was going to do it, honestly would have done it today because you're not facing elimination. Carter Hart's given up at least 4 goals or more in every game this series.
And I'm baffled why John Tortorella didn't make the goalie change because we talked about Freddie Andersen, and yes, Andersen, the goalie change needed to happen for Rod Brind'Amour's squad. But with the play that Carter Hart had in the 2 rounds before the Stanley Cup final, I feel there's a reason why he's not getting as much criticism for his play as Freddie Andersen was.
Right.
And I wonder what John Tortorella is thinking before this game. He thinks that Hart is his guy and feels that there's no need to. But I think the 4 games in this final may point to the light at the end of the tunnel for Adin Hill. But Tortorella decided, nope, got to go back to Hart.
Yeah, he did. And again, I would have thought about it the same way as we just discussed. You get an extra 3 days on top of it, even if you ever gave him the day off to allow him to get a reset, because you'd want to do that in a non-elimination setting. I'll be honest with you here. Again, we both took 6. Alec had the Hurricanes in 6. I had the Golden Knights in 6. I think they're in trouble right now. I think Carolina's going to come out and find a way to win this game. Although, I will say, by the time we get back to Sunday night, regardless if Carolina wins, I'm going to be on record here right now, Alec. I think Vegas is going to respond on Sunday. I think it's a must win for Carolina today to make sure that they can get to a 7 and then find a way to win it. So I do think Carolina is going to win 2 in a row. They'll get it today. Vegas is going to respond on Sunday, and then we'll see us back together here on Wednesday. That's my gut feeling right now.
As a hockey fan, I would love to see 7 games of this theater, but as a Hurricanes fan, my heart cannot take 7 games of this either. With how back and forth this has gone, with no lead being safe. I honestly feel better about Bossy in net than I do about Freddie Andersen, because I did chat with someone else saying that if we see another one of these goals go through for Vegas, we see Andersen in net. I disagree. You go with Bossy no matter what.
The third period before losing a double overtime, Alec, I really don't think there's anything left to see. It's going to be Brandon Bussy's net or bust.
Yeah, and I did point out the Hart Trophy voting before you came in here. You want to know how close the Hart Trophy voting was?
Tell me.
Nikita Kucherov won over Connor McDavid by 10 points.
Yeah, that was pretty close. Again, Kucherov had just an amazing start to the year and then cooled off a little bit at the end, but I do think that ended up being the right call.
It's such a hard decision that you can't go wrong with either one.
No.
Of course, McDavid is McDavid. And yes, Kucherov was hot start and be consistent to end the year, but in an injury-ravaged season, that supports his case. What supports McDavid's case on his end? I'm not saying that he doesn't deserve the award, but his case was that every game in which he didn't record a point this regular season, Edmonton lost.
That's about as much as you could say for a reason why you should pick him. That's a wonderful stat.
Yeah, as amazing as it is down in, it's not Sean LaRoe sounding a siren. Look at that hair from Mike Commodore.
Man, he looks like a mad scientist.
Yeah, he does.
That's pretty cool, man. That's got to pump you up there. Carolina, I thought, has played pretty well in this series. I know it's gone back and forth, but it sticks in the back of my mind of what we saw last. To be able to go out and really kind of punch Vegas in the face in that first period, and then mostly keep the second in front of you, or at least try. You only gave up 2, and then finish out strong in the close. I'm sure you already talked about it, but we'll talk about it again. That Jordan Staal goal, when he got it past the diving glove of Carter Hart, again, that's the one you want to hang. If the Carolina Hurricanes win this and lift the cup, I want to see that everywhere.
Oh, I would love to order one on the first chance I get, John. Hang it up on the bed.
So what do you think? I got the Canes today. I know probably where you're leaning, but what do you think we're going to see score-wise?
I have to say, score-wise, my heart cannot take another one-goal game. If we're seeing a Vegas team that looks upset behind, I know this is a perfect situational Stanley Cup final has eerie parallels to the NBA final. Because Vegas and San Antonio are kind of similar, in which there's a lack of situational awareness between the two of them, and Carolina, just like the Knicks, are taking advantage.
So right now, as I'm looking across, I believe that's 32 goals scored in the first 4 games. I mean, you got to average about 8+ goals in this series so far. And the situational awareness or lack thereof, I think to this point, even though it's tied 2-2, starting to lean like it's biting Vegas more. Again, it's one of the situations for me. I'm not trying to pick on Vegas more so than anyone else. I know it seems like where we're leaning, but I want to see that first line step up a little bit. I know they moved Dorofeyev down to the third. Maybe have Eichel get a goal today. They need some of the big boys to step up, and again, I'll have to punch the ticket because it needs to be said. Carter Hart's got to find his game. If he continues this 4 goals or more throughout, I don't see Vegas lifting the cup. He's got to find a big game in his back pocket.
Yeah, because The stats don't lie. That Hart's been statistically the worst goaltender in Stanley Cup final history through the first 4 games.
Oh.
4 goals allowed, another 4 goals allowed, 4 more goals allowed, and then another 4 more goals allowed through the 4 games. So that's 16 in total. He hasn't been the big game goaltender that Vegas wanted him to be, like they did in Colorado. He has to turn this around for a chance to win. Otherwise, they need to go to 8-0.
Did they split Rasmus Andersen and Noah Hannafen's lines today, or are they still together? Do you know?
Well, I feel that from the NHL.com website I'm seeing is that they're still listed together.
Okay.
So I have to see what Torts has in mind, or to stick them together or to split them up. But I feel that you should keep them together given their past rep with the Calgary Flames.
You got to be able to do something that works. Again, we talked about Brayden McNabb and Shea Theodore. They've been locks. But there's a few other guys that need to step up. It's hard to believe, but throughout the whole entire postseason, Carter Hart's numbers aren't that bad without a shutout, 251 and 912. But as you said, 4 against in every game this series. Alec's going to get set to lead us off today, and he will close. Brandon Busty at 228 and a 900, 3 goals against on 21 shots in the Game 4 win. It's going to be his net. I thought he was the better of the goaltenders, and we'll see again. Third period so far, we can make that mention, Alec. He's 2 for 2. He has been unblemished.
Yep, he has been unblemished in both third periods, in which he has kept a clean slate in both of them, in which it matters most. Sure, the 3 goals against didn't do him any wonders, but he is stepped up when it matters. Our referees are the same as in games 1 and 3. Linesmen, same thing as well. Wes McCauley and Chris Rooney. It'll be Rooney dropping the puck. Matt McPherson and Devin Berg are the linesmen. The standby referee is Garrett Rank. The standby linesman is Trent Knorr. It'll be the Staal line and the Eichel line. And here we go. It'll be the Eichel line control. Eichel has just 3 goals in his last 34 playoff games. He wants to put an end to that dry spell. He does have 6 goals in the 2023 run as Ehlers rushes up to the far corner of the Vegas end. And he's dispossessed of the puck by Shea Theodore, who you can say has been Vegas' best player in the Stanley Cup final. Mitch Marner hat-trick in Game 3 notwithstanding. Mark Stone, watched by Jackson Blake as the HSP line is on the ice now. And from the left wing control is Ehlers, who's ready to get off the ice. Up the far corner, Blake gets right by, possible 2-on-2 if they hurry, instead he'll wait up. And he overskate the puck and lost an edge. Dump back down, and this will roll. No icing as it bounced off the edge of the near corner. As Carolina will get set, Blake across the blue line. Marner's out there. He gets shoved by Stankoven. Picked up by Hall. Hall takes this in and will send this behind the net, where it's picked up by Noah Hannafin. So to answer your question, John, is Hannafin and Andersen together? They are not split up. As John Tortorella decides to keep with the same defensive pair. An early shot gets up high and airmail. This will go out of play.
Again, you're going to be a little bit ahead of me this time around, but I'm sure that will dissipate back across. The over-under, again, sits at 6.5. Alec and I have been telling you throughout this series, please punch the over the way that it's been going. And Staal, it was a quick hit against him from Jack Eichel, trying to get underneath the captain's skin, who's been so hot throughout this series.
Staal has 5 goals in this final. 1 more. He'll tie Brad Marchand last year for the most in the finals by a 37-year-old or older. So we're 1:16 into the game as this face-off is won by the Knights. I did rewind by 10 seconds so that you and I are on the same page. This goes behind the net. Tomas Hertl gets driven off the puck. Sissons places onto the far corner. Marner's there. Broken stick on the ice. And Jeremy Lozon's there. DeBride is free. Svechnikov intercepts and gets this out. Scoring has been relatively even in the first period. And now we'll continue on as Sissons turns away Sebastian Aho, who look to be wide open. Hertl picks it up, gets decked by Svechnikov. Sissons plays it out, and from the right side, advanced further by Aho. This will be going over towards the penalty box doors, collected by Coghlan. Lozon watches. Delivers back for Coghlan, Jankowski on his face. It's reached by Kolesar. Busty's out the Platus. He's a right glove goaltender, which is a southpaw version of the left side in boxing, as is sent over far corner, kept in by Vegas. Down is tied up the 36-year-old from Huntsville, Alabama. William Carey also there, Alexander Nikishin and Shane Gostisbehere waiting. Karlsson trying to poke this brief. Nikishin wanting to get this out. Neither team has a shot on goal just yet. And we're just past the 2.5-minute mark. Karlsson on his backhand. Gonna get by his former teammate Carrier. Plays it on his backhand. And the Canes get it out. Robinson wanted to go by Theodore. Theodore said no. Theodore waiting. The fourth line for Carolina heads off. Off the near boards, trying to catch the Canes on a change, but no. Bossy plays this out. It'll be restarted by Keandre Miller. He and Sean Walker have been dominant through the first 3 rounds of this postseason. The Stanley Cup Finals where it all changed as Sissons exits out of play. 55 blocks for Theodore in this postseason, leading the NHL.
They're showing some of Eichel's chances now from the previous game. We had the one that he really called the airmail, and then one off the post. I know the assist man, the defense, the face-offs, everything else so great, but they've got to get number 9 on the goal sheet.
Andersen 2 this postseason and 3 in his last 34 playoff games. He needs to get going, despite being second in the NHL in postseason points. Sent in by Walker. Andersen, the first one back, the ex-Flame. Gonna get a bag this offseason no matter where he goes. Here is Keandre Miller up the middle. Backhanded, was blocked by Mitch Marner. Who else? Picked up by Carolina, but it's turned over. Pass too far for Marner, and Miller will drive this away, but it lands there to Howden, who gets blown up by Miller. 3-on-2 the other way. Here's Blake. Lined up by Stanko in a sharp angle shot, didn't go all the way through. Now it's Sullivan for the right circle. Oh, shot turned away by Hart. Those are your first shots on goal this game, and Carolina putting on the early pressure. Hall falls down. He'll be recollected by Miller as the Canes go on a change. Miller is next up to head to the bench, and he'll head off. It is, well, I believe this is Jacob Slavin, Jalen Chatfield, Miller's replacement, moves up the far side. For race, it'll be Staal picking it up. Watch out, he has 5 goals. Ehlers shoved off by Barbashev. It'll land under Jarvis. Now back around this goes. Barbashev was waiting for it at the near half boards. Barbashev, that might have bounced off a stick, and it did. Chatfield, Slavin couldn't play it. On his knees, plays it for Staal. Ehlers sends it up far side. Racing it is Jarvis. Jarvis with speed, waits. Chatfield and Clapper. Save Hart, and the rebound is cleared out. 91 on the shot for Chatfield. Miles per hour, and because the equal compass underway, we wonder how it would translate to kilometers per hour. Shout out to Mexico, by the way, for that 2-0 win over South Africa. And shout out to Raul Jimenez. From behind the end boards, this is Andersen, drive free. Comes to Marner at the far corner. Jordan Marner, double team, and this will be played out to center by Vegas. Using a lot of basketball adage with double teams and all, but that's the appropriate term for when there are 2 guys defending the attacker. Through the far side, Vegas moves it up with Marner. 29 points this postseason, wanting to reach 30. Looking to become the first 30-point scorer on his first year with a new team. Foot race, no icy as Hart was out, thinking that he was going to play this. 8 points this series for Marner. That's 2 points per finals game. That includes his hat trick, in which he had a 4-point outing. This is not far enough for icing. Walker plays off the near boards. There are several close calls. As this puck gets behind Theodore, McNabb helps him out. Uses the end boards clear, the late offside against Robinson. And McNabb will start up. Through the far side, a tangle up by the Carolina bench, and this time it's an offside against Barbashev.
I love that play from Seth Jarvis, able to keep his head up, spot Jalen Chatfield for a big clapper. Holy cow, Sean Walker just cleaned out Brett Howden. That was a very clean hit. He hit him very hard. He's going to feel that throughout the whole game.
Yeah, he will. He's going to feel a lot of bruises from that Sean Walker hit. What a smash there. Pause.
Yeah, it was a brutal hit. Again, as we said, for Vegas, probably keep the tenure down a little bit for Carolina. I like their defensive start at least, but Carolina's got the first two shots in this game.
And this is the longest time for a Vegas postseason game this year without a shot in this series. At 5:55 into the first and counting. Gostisbehere off the face-off win. Shots on goal are 43-14 the first period as this puck gets iced. But the scoring margin's been very thin. 5-3 Carolina.
Yeah, and it's hard to believe because, again, you see that again. The shot differential is 43-14 for Carolina, and yet they're only a +2 in this period.
Which doesn't make a lot of sense for
No.
that matter. Because, but the only way to explain it, John, is that nothing in the Stanley Cup Finals made sense.
No, because, again, you look at just the first period, so you'd say Carter Hart's playing really well, but it's about every other one.
Yeah, especially when he lost 7 shutouts this postseason in the third period. That's a new NHL postseason record, as it's picked up by Gostisbehere from the far corner cross-court occasion. Lob clear, kept in by Andersen, shoved once by Staal. Stone around. Staal picks it up. Overskating is Ehlers as we fed up through the ice. And this exits out. Was it deflected is the question.
I got Nick Ehlers here on a penalty call. He's going to the box.
Delay of game, 2 minutes. So Vegas, who's been very poor this series on the power play, will have a chance to score when we come back.
We'll see what they can do. Again, as Alec mentioned, Brandon Bussi through the first break at 13:36 has not faced a shot against. Again, I did just mention that I like Vegas's defensive intensity. I think they had to come back out because, again, we said a few nights ago they got punched in the mouth in the first period. So you got to start this way. But I'll mention it now. As you talk about Vegas's numbers on the power play, it has been very good. This is one of those ones they need to come out in the first period and kind of set the tone. I think they got to score here.
They have to, if Vegas were to have any shot at winning this.
You just got to try to get on the front foot and play with the lead. It's been one of those situations where both teams haven't done that much, with the exception of Carolina a couple of days ago. After this, we're going to have 3 nights off the Sunday, and if we need it after Sunday, another 3 nights off the Wednesday. So this is very important right now that Carolina wins this game, see what they can do, try to take a 3-2 lead in the Sin City. We'll see what we get. We got a long way to go, but just 2 shots on goal here after about the first 7 minutes.
Yeah, those 2 shots on goal are the big difference. Carolina with the best chance coming from the Jarvis setup or Chatfield on the one-timer. The thing is, he wanted to set somebody to the front or use somebody as a screen to take away Carter Hart's vision, and that didn't happen.
No, it was way too quick of a setup there. He had to try to take the shot that he had. There's not been a lot of open space for either one of these teams right now. We'll see if the power play changes that.
You'll see. As we're back onto this game here at Lenovo Center, is Nikolai Ehlers at the box. 2 minutes for a delay of game as he picks up this puck. We'll see where he senses. He turns around and he just directly places over the glass. It wasn't deflected.
I was going to say, how do you even do that? It was pretty far away from the opposite side of the ice.
That looked like a football deep pass.
Here we go now on the kill.
Here is a tie-up off the face-up. Slavin with the first save with some help from Marner. Marner waits. It'll be a 2-on-2. Should they take it? Marner can stall as Marner drives below the goal line. It is taken away by Marner. Once again, it's the 5-4 setup that's worked for Vegas all season long, dating back to the regular season, as Marner will set up for Jack Eichel, who's going to use his speed. They go 60-65 as Eichel sets in front. What a save! No, it's in! I thought Bussi had it! But it went into that in and out of a hurry! 1-0 Vegas and Dorothea break his goalless drought!
They needed that. Let's find this entry now. They were kind of stagnating the line. Flip across. Yeah, that was in and out. Bar up and out. Eichel able to slide that away from Chatfield. Dorothea wide open. No chance. Bussi top left corner.
Oh, boy. Just to think that one angle showed me had it, but it went in and out in a hurry that I couldn't tell what it was. No chance for Brandon Bussi this early. They hit the center post. No chance for him out of the first shot. which comes at 6:52. It's a goal, 1-0. And the Knights on the board. Once again, scoring has been very even in this first period. First goal in 11 games. The first goal in 8 games, for Pavel Dorofeyev. And here comes Vegas again. Here is Barbashev to the front. Gets washed out by Walker. Excellent defense there as Taylor Hall takes this up. Sets up for 2-1. Has Miller on his right. Oh, to Miller. Overskated. Loose in his spot and is cleared out. But he'll be collected by the Kings again. Sent in from the near side. It'll be Vegas. Wanting to clear this out, but can't do so. Bad giveaway at the point. Brett Howden shoved down by Hall. Miller has Stankoven to his left. Golden chance here early for Carolina to tie it up on a 2-1. And Keandre Miller just couldn't handle the puck. Stankoven overskated. Svechnikov couldn't handle it either. It is Kolasar. Just the second power play goal of this series for the Vegas Golden Knights. This is sent up ahead. That did not gain the red line. I see.
Yes, it was. And again, you talk about Brett Howden. He already took another hit and near the box. He's got that kick me sign all over his back right now. They're making sure not getting any space as we get another look at that power play. But in the mix, you had Keandre Miller. The pass was just too hard off his back skate. Vegas was pretty fortunate to be able to clear it out of the zone.
Yeah, they were very fortunate that the pass hit the back skate of Miller in this 1-0 hockey game. Hard clear by Gostisbehere, be picked up by Lozon. Vegas wanting to enter the zone in a hurry. Carolina thought about a change. They thought better of it. Here's Marner. Rips it. Rebound. Save Bussy. With 2 good chances. And Gostisbehere will try second ever clearing this down. Conwood will play this up the near side and give it back for Gostisbehere. Here's Aho to Jarvis. Aho to Jarvis. Setting him up. Bounced up. Svechnikov the keeper. Tie up at the near corner. It is Marner there. Svechnikov and Aho with it. They're back over to Slavin. Slavin. Around back for Svechnikov. Nobody there. And Jack Eichel gave it away. But quickly it's back for Lozon. Jeremy Lozon sends this down. Carolina on a change now. 1-0 Vegas. Pavel Dorofeyev. Or as they say, Vegas score Feyev. Up the far side. It's chipped around off the stick. Hertl scoops it up. Ehlers falls down. It'll be Colton Sissons with it on the give. Dorofeyev, the goal scorer. Save Bussy. Knocked away by Slavin on the rebound. It's played behind the net. Slavin there too. Picked up now by Hertl once more. Hertl goes back. Andersen a try. That's why the goal. Picked up by Vegas one more time. Generating some zone time. Andersen. Why to go again? It is Andersen this time with Ehlers defending. Rasmus Andersen turns and goes back. Onto the left side. Here's Tomas Hertl. Long drive. Left wide. Jalen Chatfield picks it up. And can handle it a second effort with some help from Slavin. Everybody's getting set here on the defensive side. Now it's Ehlers. Game 6 is on Sunday. We'll be there for you here. Up the far side is Jackson Blake. Back for Ehlers. Turns around. Couldn't get it through. Here's Miller, who kept it alive. Jackson Blake. Watched by Rasmus Andersen. Left behind the net. Stankoven trying to dig this out. Bouncing puck is collected up by Vegas. Onto the near side now. Carolina did not allow him to get set. Now defense, Barbashev a shot. Save Bussy to rebound loose. And Howden whacked it wide. Stankoven and Karlsson tie each other up. And Carolina gets this out. This center ice. And already the Golden Knights up to a much better start in this first period compared to the last 4 games. This is what they needed here, as they were in the bottom half in the goal scored in the first period throughout the regular season. 6 assists this series for Brind'Amour. 7 in the regular season as bodies collide. Gostisbehere finds the Cation, bouncing puck. The Cation fends out this man. That will be Gostisbehere. Good near side, intercepted by Coghlan. He gives it right back to the Cation. The Cation stick with it, but sticks with it. Alexander the Cation on the near side, bouncing puck carried across, but there was a man offside. William Carey wanted to get across.
And you said it in between that first goal after there. Brandon Bussy 5 saves in a row after as that Marner line starting to hum. Vegas feeling good after scoring that first goal, but honestly, Bussy probably could have given up one more. I think Carolina probably feels good where they are, considering we got half the first period expired.
The Hurricanes are they should be happy that this is just a one-goal game, if anything, because some of the good chances that they had were before that power play that came through with that Dorothea goal. I would like to see the Hurricanes wake up here in the back half of the first and drive towards the net front.
Is it another one of those situations, Alec, where if you keep it within a goal from the period, you probably don't feel so bad? I feel like that's the narrative we split between these two and the first set of 20 throughout this entire series. If you just keep it close, we know the madness is going to start between the second and the third. That's the way it's been.
Because the second period has traditionally been Vegas' best period this series, but by the third period, that's when Carolina does the damage. Even for when we talk about Vegas being the best third period team in the league. By total goals scored in the regular season, that is true. But look who's behind Vegas in goals scored in the regular season, the third. Carolina.
Yeah, this has been a series, honestly, and we've talked about it. By the time it's all done, I think when we think about it in the grand scheme throughout the NHL, this particular Stanley Cup Finals in 2026 is at worst, I think, going to be a top 3 or 4. I mean, we still got a couple more games left in it, and I think it's going to continue to climb. Again, this series in particular, in my opinion, has taken maybe an average, below average year with the exception of Buffalo and Montreal, and this has been the finish we've been waiting to see.
Yeah, this has been a treat that every fan has seen here. Svechnikov wanted to find Sebastian Aho, but I felt that he should have shot this puck. And Seth Jarvis made the right decision to find Jalen Chatfield.
I think we're going to get yet another icing here at 9:04, so we will switch ends. Carolina, no shots in the last 6 minutes of this opening period.
Now, another icing against the Canes, and we speak of soccer or football now the World Cup is underway. A little shout out to Erling Haaland of Manchester City and their Norwegian national team, who's in attendance for tonight's game.
It's always cool to see sport to sport across the board here. You got some big ones. You got the World Cup, Stanley Cup Final, NBA Finals. A lot of the stuff has been treating us well.
Yeah, that was such a bonkers opening game in the World Cup. But 3 red cards and 2 goals. That's insanity. Here's Jack Eichel, watched by Mark Jankowski, trying to score his first of the final. So is Sebastian Aho. He's on the ice right now as Eichel lifts one around, loose in front for Staal. On the rebound, it slipped wide. Picked up now by Walker, who gets pile-driven onto the boards. Goodness. The late offside against Vegas, they're all back on side. Miller sets up for Eric Robbins, who dumps it in. Brandon McNabb and Theodore back deep. Theodore wants to clear, and it rolls out towards the far side, where it's picked up by Chatfield. Chatfield across the red line, goes wide of Hart. Theodore and McNabb connect again. The Staal line's out there again. This has been the best line of the final for Carolina. Ehlers in front, score! And Staal again! It's 6! Ties Marchand last year!
Is this Jordan Staal or Joe Pavelski? Because excuse me there, on a wonderful deflection in the high slot. I mean, that's just awesome. You got your stick on the ice there. You tip it right around Hart and McNabb. Hart's got no chance. That is perfect from number 11.
I love that Joe Pavelski analogy because that was a perfect deflection for Jordan Staal at the net front. Ehlers set it up. He intended this to be a pass for Staal, and it was meant to be a deflection the whole way. What a series that the captain's been having, and he's inserted his name into Conn Smythe discussion, John.
He is not letting his team die in any stretch of the imagination. If this game remains anywhere close, or if he has a chance to put them ahead, Jordan Stahl's putting his team on his back.
He's playing like he's possessed now. And it is with Sebastian Aho not having a goal. Here's another try. Hard to save this time, and Carolina has life now, thanks to the captain, who's now scored the most goals in a single series in Carolina Hurricanes franchise history. Here's Aho, walked up by McNabb. Theodore there, they scoop it up. Colton Sissons gets this down onto the Carolina, and this time Vegas will ice it.
Again, he had such a good start. Staal finishes his hit there on McNabb. It's in perfect position right in front. He is just doing it all. As a heat-seeking missile finishes it out, and the crowd watch party outside goes absolutely insane.
Oh yeah, right at Carter Finley Stadium and PNC Arena, and of course many North Carolinians watching across the state are happy, and even those in South Carolina who have to travel from one state to another to watch their favorite team. Vegas will try to clear again. This time it will work, but they only get to center ice. Now they'll try this one down from the long stretch feed. Gostisbehere ties up Kolazar. Now it's Jankowski skating in with Robinson. It's dropped off to him. Has it wide. Carrier is tied up. Wants to sweep at backhand. Now bounces around for Robinson. Eric Robinson back. Nikishin kept it. Robinson flashed one off of Hart's pads. Gostisbehere tried it. Bouncing puck in front. McNabb got it away. Walked down by Brett Howden to center, or excuse me, Cole Smith. And both forward lines will change off. Another Stanley Cup final goal by Jordan Staal. The captain and Birdline center doing it all year. And he played Birdline center for the Penguins in the back-to-back cup final. Here's his Hall. Shoots this one wide, and it cannot be held in by Walker, who was acquired by Colorado in the 2024 run from Philadelphia. Here's Eichel in. Eichel almost dispossessed up front, and Marner's denied. On the block in front, Andersen. Another block by Carolina. Two excellent defensive blocks by the Hurricanes in front of Brind'Amour. With 6 minutes left, it is a tie hockey game, and we can expect the unexpected here at any time. Andersen around. Almost knocked this one away. Now Vegas comes down in front of backhander. Saved by Bussy. Tangle up. Miller grabs it. Clearing attempt right along the fan force. Cogwood kept this in, however. Miller's tied up, but it lands on the Walker. Vegas keeps it in off the far side. Around they send it. Racing a puck along the near out boards. Cogwood won the battle. Drive for him. In front. Swept away. Loose puck at the left point. This series has been insanity one way or another as Karlsson is driven away by Walker. Now here's Jarvis with it. This line has been terrific. The Ehlers, Staal, and Jarvis line. Ehlers. Hart grabs us down and instead will force a face-off when we come back. 7-3. His shots in favor of the Knights with 5:18 left, and that man, Jordan Staal, with 6 goals. That ties Brad Marchand last year.
That's incredible because all we did was talk about last year. If Brad Marchand wasn't on the Cats, they probably don't lift the cup. You could say the same thing now for Jordan Staal. You said he's paid his dues. He's moved up and down the lineup. And again, I love how you called it. After that Staal deflection there from Ehlers, you have a couple really good block shots because Eichel really did set up Marner there. Vegas had a chance to come back and take the lead, but 5:18, we'll take our second break. This game's tied at 1. Let's just make this a best of 9.
How about that? And you know what I feel? I feel that for every team that wants to win a Stanley Cup, you need to have at least one previous Cup-winning player on the team. Carolina has 2 of them in Staal and Carrier. Vegas already has that culture established. And you look at the previous champions, Florida, championship DNA because they won the Cup of the year before. Well, they had that championship DNA because of Tarasenko. 23, Vegas, Cup-winning DNA, Barbashev and Karlsson. 22, Colorado, Darren Helm. 2021-2020, Tampa Bay. Had that set up because of Patrick Maroon. The 2019 Blues are the only exception because Oscar Sundqvist didn't play a single finals game with the Penguins in 2016.
Jordan Binnington created his own storybook.
He did. And so the legend has stated, you know what? If Carolina wants to look for a goaltender, I'm still wanting Tolsky to get Binnington no matter the finals outcome.
I know what Ian said. I know what the numbers dictated, but the Blues weren't very good this year. You put him in behind this Carolina defense, I do think he's got a bounce back, still a little bit left in the tank, should they elect to do so. I don't think it's a bad idea.
Yeah, and another story that we speak of goaltenders, Florida discussed with Carolina sent Sergei Bobrovsky to the Kings. They want the first-round pick in return. Eric Tolsky said no.
I don't think at this point, and I love Bobrovsky, and so does everybody else, he's not worth the first-round pick anymore.
No, considering the season he's had, giving up a first-round pick for Bobrovsky would have been a disaster in the making.
I agree.
The face-off to the right of Carter Hart. It is the fourth lines for both teams, Jankowski and Dowd, to take it. And Dowd's the better face-off man. No surprise he won it. On the far side to be set up for Cole Smith, who had 13 hits in one of the finals games. I remember it was game 3. From the near side, Carolina sends it down. William Carrier tangles up the Vegas player in front on this clear. Jankowski also there. Carrier sends this towards the far corner where Lozon picking it up. 7-4 to shots. Bouncing puck is just cleared out, and it will be iced by about 3 feet.
You know, it's pretty impressive. A lot of times we see this across the ESPN ABC feed about, Vegas, Carolina have some shot attempts, maybe lack thereof for 7-8 minutes in a row. And then all of a sudden it feels like the treadmill goes in the opposite direction. And then either Vegas or Carolina picks up on momentum when the other team had it. It's been consistent throughout this series. Every team has had their fits and starts, and nobody can grab onto this rope.
And the Aho line right now is out there on the ice against Dowd line. Aho does not have a goal in the final, much in the same way which you speak of Eichel not having a goal in the final. Tangle, Svechnikov almost got tripped, and he is double-teamed at the near corner. Query attempt unsuccessful. Slavin ties up his man, does keep it in. Coghlan says, not so fast. That was a foot race for this loose puck. Commissar is ahead. He'll wash away the icing. Chatfield there, he is helped out by Aho. Along the near side, Vegas will restart from their own zone. Long flip. The Canes will start it from their own zone this time. Along the penalty box door, Svechnikov carries it. Svechnikov slaps this around. Bartnook arrives first. Aho behind the plate, tied up by his former teammate Andersen. This comes out to the right point for Chatfield. Back down around for Aho. Aho back for Chatfield. Doesn't shoot it. Now platform. Good traffic. It was blocked off his own teammate Bartnook. Now Vegas can't get this past Slavin. They'll leave Barbashev off the near boards. Sending this towards Chatfield's stick. Colton Sissons there. Taking the old jersey number of Nick Waugh, who won a Stanley Cup here with Las Vegas in 2023. As far as that fourth line between him, William Carrier, and Keegan Commissar. Waugh originally was a Carolina draft pick, by the way. Up the far side comes Vegas on a 3-on-2. Here's Marner setting up for Eichel. Eichel's tied up by Ehlers. And here's a rush chance the other way. Jordan Staal gonna get by the stick of Theodore. That was going to be set back for Walker as Vegas changes. Carolina trying to catch them, but Vegas already has all 5 new players on the ice. Going all 5 games in this final for Jordan Staal. A rarity. And the first time in a long time since this has happened. As Vegas will set up from their own zone. 3 of 5 left. Just backhanded for Jackson Blake. The second line found the back of the net twice. Thanks to Logan Stankoven and Blake in the first period of game 4. Now there's a 2-on-2 for Vegas. A quick shot by Bussy. Scoped up by the Canes for Blake. Stankoven couldn't locate the puck in his skates. And the Knights will send this in deep. Howden sets up. Left side, Karlsson waits. He wanted a bunch of Dorothea. Andersen's tied up. On the keep in by Gostisbehere, and he goes down. Andersen gets back up and picks it up. Jackson Blake off a sloppy pass from Andersen. Picks it up. Over to Hall. Hall. Long flip over to Hart. Will keep this one alive as both teams change their lines. 4th lines again. It's nice to see the 4th lines out there, the grinder lines. Here is Bussy playing this out far side. A tight angle shot didn't get by through the skates of one of the Carolina defensemen. Here's a foot race. Eric Robinson first one there, but he overskate the puck. 2 minutes. That's what's left in this first period. As the tie-up ensues again, this time along the Carolina bench. Here is Alexander Keisha fresh off the bench. And Svechnikov gets this deep. Robinson tied up. Coghlan can't play this out. Robinson keeps. Gave it away to Coghlan. Vegas does get it out. A slow-moving clear. These two are even in zone time. But the Vegas getting the 4 scoring chances in this game. Svechnikov shoves up this man. It'll be kept in deep. Theodore shoved by Svechnikov again. Bartnook can't hold it. A tie-up along the far boards as both teams can't be started out. Eichel has his 2 goals this postseason, done in the final. Svechnikov waits, stick lifted. This is just onside. That came very close as the hollow line subs out. Vegas trying to catch them up. Here's Eichel in front, set up one wide. 1 minute left as Vegas wants to get a scoring chance, and they're going to keep this in 102 out of it.
Again, I'm looking to see on that previous play if we had a call there. I haven't got one yet, but that Eichel Stone play, Alec. Eichel, I think, rushed just a little bit. He got Stone cutting right in front of the middle of the slot on Bussy. Probably could have got a deflection, just didn't take enough of his time as we get a neutral zone draw.
Cyclone Taylor, Maurice Richard, John Belliveau, Ivan Cournoyer, and now Jordan Staal among the list of players who scored the first 5 Stanley Cup final games. And when you're in the same conversation as the Rocket Richard, you're in some elite company. Here is Chatfield up the far side on this clear, scooped up by Rasmus Andersen. Played on to Marner. Marner shoved away, but here's Wild Bill saying this one up. Passes to Brind'Amour. Behind is Slavin. 7-1 the scoring chances in this first period. This was a hand pass by Vegas, so we'll get a face-off.
8-5 on the shot board. Both teams got one here. It was a wonderful deflection from Staal. They called from Ehlers, who's been really good in this series, by the way, as well. And then Pavel Dorofeyev finally gets on the score sheet as we get a face-off at center ice.
I see Dorofeyev on the scoreboard because he's been struggling with finding the back of the net for some time. And even if it's on the power play, you can get rewarded any time. 4th line time here for Vegas as Dowd, with some help, sends this deep. Walker the first one back. Rolling puck. Jankowski gets punished by Cole Smith, and it's back to the left point. Long shot blocked in front. It rolls onto the near half boards, and Smith is there again. Colton Sissons can't get the screw. Foot race for this puck. Will this be deep enough? The answer is yes, Icy.
I think we had one period, Alec. I can't remember if it was game 2 or game 3, which one of these ones was scoreless. Other than this one looks like it's going to end 1-1. And this is probably one of the most even first periods we've had in a long time.
This has been such the case, even for Vegas getting most of the scoring chances. Hits are 13-10 Canes, and with 9.4 left, Vegas wants to put themselves up 2-1 before the period ends. It's the Jankowski line and the Eichel line doing business with one another. This is Jankowski winning the faceoff, the former first-round pick for the Calgary Flames. What's the story? Relax!
I'm looking to see now. Ehlers, they did it earlier. It looks like Keandre Miller now going to go to the box. 2 delay games against Carolina.
Oh, my goodness. This is twice now in which Carolina is going to serve 2 delayed game penalties and Vegas on the power play again.
Yeah.
Carolina will surely want to use its lessons from the first time around. If you want to set the load up the slot, time to do it now.
Yeah, try to get whatever you can here. You got enough time. You got carryover time at least. Dorofeyev going to be the shot recipient if they can win it straight back.
He'll be that way. He is the primary shooter. That's been the case. Tomas Hertl to take the face off, and this will be cleared out. And once we start the second period, it'll be Vegas looking to add to their sizable scoring margin in the second period. They're at a 9-1 advantage, 11-1 if you count the 2 disallowed goals from game 3, 1-1 after 1.
So, Alec, I can say this to you in particular. When I get set to take over in the second, you can go ahead and put yourself at the standard time. You don't have to fast forward backwards or anything like that. So we'll be good to go. I'll be a little bit behind you here unless this changes, so that way you can get some of the color stuff. But 8-5 on the shot board for Vegas. Hits. It's been very physical, 25 total. 14-11, Carolina leads that. Carolina's got 10-8 on the draws. Vegas has right now 1 for 1 on the power play, 1 for 2 if they don't score. Giveaways are 9-5. Carolina's got 9. So puck management hasn't been necessarily a problem just yet. As I've said with Alec throughout this series, I thought we were going to get some shorthanded goals. Still haven't seen one yet. I do think it's time that Carolina probably gets one, or we do see a critical one maybe in Game 6 or Game 7 should we need one. I'm going to hold out hope for that. But I do think this was a well-played first period, honestly, for both teams because, in my opinion, Vegas really needed that over from a couple of nights ago when Carolina punched them in the mouth. They wanted to make sure to keep the defense in front of them, stop those chances in transition. I think they did that for the most part. And one last thing, and then I'll hand it over to you. Jordan Staal, yes, he deserves all the praise and the paramount for starting everything. But as you said, one of the big additions in the offseason, man, it feels like Nick Ehlers is getting every other point behind Staal right now.
He has. And I'll feel sweet for Ehlers to be properly utilized, no matter what scenario. That he wasn't getting as much ice time in Winnipeg by comparison. It's a fresh sigh of relief now that he is getting the proper utilization in Carolina. The best has already arrived for him.
We'll see what ends up happening in the offseason. Like you said, I think goaltending is probably something you go after. And no discredit, if Brind'Amour ends up winning the Stanley Cup, he humbly deserves it. But I do think that's probably where you lean as far as the upgrades. But as far as anything in the offseason right now, Alec, I know we got at least another game to play. Does Carolina have anything to worry about right now?
Well, the second period in general could be, well, if you have Brind'Amour in net, you feel like you're in a better situation in net. He's not. I don't see him as a solution once again, but he's at least a band-aid to help out with the net situation.
Because I thought maybe from a few years ago that Peter Kochetkov would be one of those that actually took a step up. Because you remember from a few seasons ago, he was like a dominant goalie in December and January, and he's had his runs. Freddie Andersen's had a couple. I'll agree with you. I do think that's probably where I lean. But as far as the depth of this team from forwards and defense, I mean, they're in the Stanley Cup Finals, and most of the time you really can't complain about that. But I think this defensive group in Nikishin has got room to grow. I think Gostisbehere likes where he is right now as the power play quarterback. And when you kind of recoup those pieces from Mikko Rantanen, and you got Logan Stankover in the trade, who I really thought the Dallas Stars would want to hold on to, they've just built a lot of depth, and this team has continued to score by committee.
Yes, that's been the case all throughout. And we've seen it here front and center in the Stanley Cup Final. Now, I know there were some other news around here in NHL. We spoke of the Dylan Larkin trade request. We can add another name onto the trade request. Darnell Nurse has requested a trade from the Edmonton Oilers. And among the rumored teams he is wanting to list, this is a rather interesting short list.
Yeah.
And I mean, rather poor fits, but I guess LA and Pittsburgh.
So LA with Ken Holland, that makes sense to me only because it's Ken Holland, and they can eat a lot of that money. I'm assuming if you're going to move on with Darnell Nurse, how much can the retention be? Can it be up to 50%? Because I'm thinking it's going to have to get close to that.
Oh, I don't know if the Oilers are willing to retain salary in such a case, because Nurse, it's been talked about for a long time that he'll be one of the reported cap casualties for the Oilers. I feel this year the split is inevitable. The Penguins, I feel, don't make sense either way, because this is a team on a transition phase with preparing for life after Crosby. So with that in mind, you're going to have to either set him up to a place where they could desperately use a defenseman, probably somewhere like Chicago, or if you're wanting to get an upgrade on defense in order to make a push for the playoffs, maybe San Jose could afford someone like him, unless if they were to keep Mario Ferraro. But still, the list of destinations in which Nurse is going to have is going to be very, very limited.
I think just like we talked about Larkinen before, he's going to have to expand those teams. Because I always said this about Darnell Nurse. If it was a significant amount of retention, I mean, hell, we went through Jordan Staal. I think Darnell Nurse would be a legitimate upgrade that you could put within your top four. If you had to put him bottom six, you can. But the problem is for Detroit, they got a lot of similar players there, like Ben Sherratt. You know, it would fit that same kind of mold. And I really want to keep Alex DeBrincat because he's only signed for another year, because I'm looking at it like this. If you lost Larkin and Alex DeBrincat, not only are you losing points, but Alec, you're essentially losing about 75 goals out of your lineup.
Even strength and power play for that matter. They're that important for the Red Wings. You can't afford to lose them both.
So that's what I'm thinking. I want to make sure that Alex DeBrincat's here. If he gets a letter on his sweater, so be it. Again, he's one of the guys that always kind of does everything, but I'll be interested. I don't think Darnell Nurse is a bad defenseman. I don't think anyone believes that. We all just know that he makes too much money.
Yeah, just not bad, but he's just simply overpaid. He's a good defenseman, but he's being paid too much. And I'll say that contract's been holding the Oilers back from building a proper cup contender around McDavid and Draisaitl.
Yeah, that's really the only other thing you can say. Again, I'll admit to you, Alec, I only was able to watch the last couple of minutes of the NBA Finals, but as you know it, the Spurs had a 29-point lead. And I did see the final play, and it gave me utter, like, standing the hair on the back of my neck, thinking about the stuff in, like, 2K when you play rec, and guys that just don't have any situational awareness. We talked about that in the Stanley Cup Finals. We can talk about that in the NBA Finals. You don't want to put the blame all on one person when you take a 29-point collapse, but if you put this blame all on one person, you'd be exactly right because they would have won the game if they made the right play. What the hell was De'Aaron Fox doing? All he had to do was dribble the ball.
Come on. You have to understand situational awareness. And we talked about this with the Golden Knights in the Stanley Cup Final. The Spurs fall in this exact same boat. When you have a 29-point lead and you're known for your play style is known for driving to the rim, continue driving to the rim. Stop forcing endless three-pointers even if you're wide open. Just drive to the rim and make sure you get your points over there. Continue doing that and impose your will on the Knicks. Keep the foot on the gas pedal. You cannot let up and allow the Knicks to breathe life into you. Not to mention De'Aaron Fox has been responsible for that bad and horrendous play. I know you're caught up at the moment, but just dribble the ball out the paint, draw a foul, get to the line, you shoot 2 free throws, you like to win the game.
Yeah.
Instead, you try to go for a layup, you get blocked from behind with OG Anunoby, who's having the final series of his life. And I'm happy for him that he got the game-winning ceiling block, the game-winning tip-in off of the Jalen Brunson free, and the Knicks, they deserve this moment. Everybody has been waiting for a championship since 1973. Now, I want to ask one thing. I don't know what Mitch Johnson's game plan was for this. The endless three-pointers. You need to keep the foot on the gas pedal. Stop shooting endless threes. And this is what happens with the biggest comeback in NBA Finals history in a game. Yikes.
17 of 43. Yes, you shot 40%, but I'll agree with Mr. Nava. That's way too many, especially when you got somebody like Victor Wembanyama and you have those two guards in Vassell and Castle. But again, I'm looking at this line that Alec just mentioned. OG Anunoby played 41 minutes. He was 10 of 15, had 33 points, 7 of 9 from 3, 6 of 6 from the charity stripe. But you can't play better than that.
Yeah. He's been as good as he can get, and he showed that he's well worth the price the Knicks got when they traded away R.J. Barrett and Emmanuel quickly. He's been super reliable on the starting five.
Yeah, they've won that trade, bar none. When you go ahead and you see that, because when you perform on the biggest stage, and I could say this too, again, the 29-point lead, we talk about it. Karl Anthony Towns, 4 or 5, you're efficient. You got 13 and 10, but you got to shoot the ball more. Thankfully, you got OG Anunoby to back you up, I guess.
Yeah, for the Knicks, they had to be happy with that. And Jalen Brunson with 36 points, of course. Fourth quarter Brunson is where he shines the best, and he did shine the best in New York. 36 points, 5 rebounds, 7 assists for the now superstar guard.
I know this is just conjecture on my part, but since we got a little bit over 5 minutes left to go here, at least in the second, after a crushing loss like that, and the Spurs have already dropped 2 games at home, is there any chance they win Game 5, in your opinion?
I would want to say no, because because of how the Knicks are playing. I feel every time the Spurs get up in the first half, they just keep letting their foot off the gas pedal in the second half. It's been a common theme in the NBA Finals. Okay, one game where you let go of a double-digit lead, okay, whatever. It's not like it should be a habit of anything. 2 in a row, okay, you need to clean some things up and get your act together because you cannot keep giving the Knicks life. But the 29-point lead, that can demoralize an entire locker room. I want to have somebody speak up in that locker room. I don't care who it is, whether it be Mitch Johnson, Victor Wembanyama, somebody. So there needs to be a spark in that locker room and fast. It can't just be endless Greg Popovich speeches, you know?
No, because Greg Popovich is well beyond the back nine. And I'll say this honestly. I'm never going to have the talent to be able to play sports. Well, it's not just because of cerebral palsy, you know that too, but at least I would think if any of us are in the league, whether it's Alec, Cooper, myself, Ian, you mix that, situational awareness is where we would have to shine if we're going to be able to get stuff done. And we've covered enough sports all the way across the board where I think we would have preeminent favorites to have that. But just because you're really skilled in the league doesn't necessarily mean that you're smart when it comes to that. I mean, we talked about J.R. Smith, and I was hoping that that would never be repeated, but De'Aaron Fox did the same thing.
Oh, boy. You're giving me flashbacks to that. Oh, my goodness. I know it's been 8 years already. I'm still in disbelief how J.R. Smith ruined a Game 1 classic for LeBron.
It's just crazy, and it happens all the time in sports. And like you think, like almost out like you're on a game show. You're playing Family Feud, and you're trying to think of an answer, but the time runs out. You get the X, and you lose the game. And they say how hard it is when you're under pressure situations. But my counterpoint is you're at the highest point in the league. I don't care if it's the Stanley Cup Finals, NBA Finals, World Cup, and all that. You're on the biggest stage. You practice all this stuff for your whole life. How do you not have the basic fundamentals down? I think that would be the first thing you would have to nail down.
And the Spurs are a franchise known for fundamentals.
Yes.
You have to get that together. The Knicks understood fundamentals, and they understood the assignment, especially when Mike Brown made the bold decision to leave Jose Alvarado on the court when he was on 5 fouls, even when he got picked up his 5th foul. He left him on the court because he was turning the momentum, and that paid off in spades.
Yeah, plus 11, 5 fouls. You only had 8 points in 16 minutes. Just stay on the floor, get a couple key assists and a steal, knew what they were doing. And Mike Brown, I guess you give him credit. Again, he's had a lot of skilled rosters throughout his coaching tenure, and he is a game away from lifting a Larry O'Brien, which would be good on him. It's hard to believe, and I know Jordan Clarkson doesn't play a lot of minutes anymore, but you remember he used to be a Swiss Army knife. He only had 5 minutes of action, 2 points, and 1 of 3 shooting. I still remember when he was on the Jazz shooting about 30 shots a game.
And when he was off the bench, replacing Donovan Mitchell at times, he was electric. Nice to see him ball out for the Knicks.
So we'll see what we end up getting here. I'll agree with Alec. I think it's done. I don't know if the Spurs, if you find a way after that game, find a way to rebound. If you could do that, I think that's more power to you. But when you have a lead like that, you led for about 99% of the game and you drop it. That one definitely hurts. The Knicks were 36 to 78. They shot 46%. And the Spurs had 8 extra shots. But as Alex said, they just kept casting threes, not knocking down enough. And that's why they lost the game.
Yeah, that cannot happen in any sport, even at the grandest stage. And De'Aaron Fox and Mitch Johnson are going to be facing endless questions this summer about their futures in San Antonio.
One last thing for me before we get into the second. Do you think Mitch Johnson's the right guy?
We'll see. I feel early stages saying that, well, I know it's his first full-time year as a head coach, but come on. You can't blow games like that if you're the head coach of the Spurs. It doesn't matter if you're a first-year head coach or such. You can't let this transpire onto your players, because if you let this transpire onto your players, this is what they're going to become known for. Look at the Toronto Maple Leafs, for example, because And because they lost in the second round or in the first round so many times, it feels like they're almost traumatized by it.
I think that's a good point by you. You don't want to have that get into the back end of your mind where it just becomes a habit. I don't disagree with that point. What do you think we're going to see here in the second of our game? Do you think Vegas is going to run away again, or do you think Carolina will be up to try to keep this even? Because I'd like to see this first period extend through the rest of the game.
I would like to as well. We know Carolina has scored just one second period goal. None other than Jordan Staal in game one. And we need to see more from Carolina in this second period because Vegas has been having their way in the second period of this entire Stanley Cup final. I'd love to see Carolina get more net front chances. We haven't seen much of that from Carolina's offense in the first. Vegas had the right response in the first period of all those scoring chances. I feel we need to see more from Carolina in the second period. Could we see an inverse and see more of the third period Canes in the second period?
That would spell a lot if we got a reverse between both, just to see what we would find. I think that would be pretty interesting. That's a good call on your part. I got both of the votes in the YouTube comment on my box says that the Golden Knights are going to find a way to win this game 5. Again, this is the last one before eliminations will start. This will be a 3-2 swing game either way. And then Alec and I will be back with you at least by Sunday night at the same time. We'll see who's up by then, and the Stanley Cup will be in the building. Again, I have another situation about another 2 hours where weather will start again. I don't think it's going to hit too severe from where I am, but maybe a commercial half and half box, but it shouldn't kill the play-by-play too much. I'll get set here to take the second. At the top of the third, Alec will close. I'm going to have Alec probably close from Game 6 and Game 7, regardless of venue, just in case it is Carolina with a chance to lift the Stanley Cup, because I want to make sure we get his calls on the forefront, because it'll be a moment that he's going to remember forever.
Thanks a lot, John.
So we'll get set here for the start of the second period. John Underwood alongside Alec Nava. It is a 1-1 game. Pavel Dorofeyev and Jordan Staal, your goal scorers, as we're underway. Vegas has the power play because of a Keandre Miller puck over glass. Carolina's done that twice. They've conceded 1. If Vegas doesn't score, they'd be 1 for 2 on the man advantage. As Gostisbehere will rim it around the inboards and get it out. Clear it down the ice. It'll touch the stick of Carter Hart. Mitch Marner will run some point duties here as he picks it up from the goal stick of Hart and across the left side red line on the backhand. Marner slows up, gets it to Hertl near the left out. It was a wide open pass. Stone's got to play the carom. Back in the high slot now, Marner lets it go. Deflected toward the right side of the glass. Carolina, no problem, will get it down the ice. Vegas leads the shot board 7-5. It was a good pace on the treadmill between both of these teams. Vegas started with some early momentum. Stone, Dorofeyev got hit near at the line. Backhanded pass will be collected by John Tortorella's squad in the high slot. Marner, touch pass, Eichel. He goes for a roof. He didn't have the angle there, short side. That's kind of a turnover there. Marner, great job keeping it in. Eichel sending it across again to the left eye. He's starting to shoot more, Alec, as it's Dorofeyev on his backhand. Hertl. Now Eichel near the left eye. He's toward the bumper here. Cross pass Dorofeyev, too hard to handle. Got to play the carom. Goes now to Hertl. Hertl on his back pass here for Stone. Right side red line. Eichel will throw back in the high slot for Marner. They have not changed. Stone gets around a diving shot block. Hertl on the backhand. He'll go for a shovel. It's loose. Bussy didn't hold. Eichel got it now. Marner touch, one-timer. That one hits the glass. Vegas power play expires. Eichel deflected. Bussy was doing some pirouettes. Made the save. Now it's Hertl toward the right side down. Over shovel a backhand across. He was looking for Stone, but he missed the left post. And Carolina escapes the pressure. Sebastian Aho can get off the ice. Crowd gets to their feet and waves the towels as Keandre gets back out. Here is a looping pass, intercepted across center ice. And flipped back down to Carter Hart. Noah Hannafin pushed this one up the ice now. Here's Wild Bill Left side blue line, sticked away, couldn't get it to Howden. Carolina try to go the other way now with Logan Stankoven off the drop in the middle of the slot. Carter Hart plays with the glove, makes the save. Vegas got to go pick up some lumber behind their net. That's Hannafin. Stankoven now right dot. Vegas intercepts in the middle of the circles. It's Barbashev off the flip, and we will get a whistle at 17:08. Action, but Vegas doesn't score.
Yeah, we saw about 2 minutes of power play time. It was almost a full power play for the Knights in this second period, but nothing was there. Carolina stood up tall and went back to the same tactics that made this a dominant penalty killing group.
Yeah, they don't have to move a lot. They keep their positioning, as you said, keep their shape in the diamond or the triangle. If you get down to 3, you kind of block that front of the net like Vegas does. We'll get another whistle with the puck out of play. Jordan Staal getting a lot of camera shots. As we said, we'll be back on the air about 8 Eastern by Game 6 at least. We know that's guaranteed. We'll have to see what happens after that if we're going to be back on Wednesday.
Yeah, 6'4", 220. He uses that massive frame disadvantage in setting up at the net front.
37 years of age from Thunder Bay, Ontario is Jordan Staal. Trying to get another cup to his name. He has been so good in this series. It's on the backhand now. Dowd toward the right side. Dowd will spin and turn the former Washington Capital. It's being stick chopped and he'll lose the puck. There's Keandre Miller trying to get it out of the zone. He'll go for a little bit of a pry. Picked up now by Dowd. Good short side save there for Bussy. He's always in the right position. One-timer deflected, and that is picked up beautifully by Rod Brind'Amour's squad. Good backline support. Gostisbehere on a back pass. He'll shovel it down deep. Jordan Martin now on the prowl as the pass from Coughlin is picked off by Carolina. They can walk in. They go for a pass instead. Got to shoot that when you're in the middle of the slot. They don't. And this will go back down. Jalen Chatfield. Vegas outscoring Carolina 9-1, as Alec mentioned in the opening before we started this second period. Picked up now away from Lozon. Ehlers, great move. Gets toward the middle, shoots. This is deflected off the glass. Jarvis falls down, gets back up. Marner back out on the ice. He'll go for the long flip, trying to look for Jack toward the left side red line. He will use his backhand puck protect. It's thrown out in front. McNabb sends it across for Theodore, and that slap shot is blocked as Alex Nava will get it out through the neutral zone. Looped in now by John Tortorella's squad. It's still 1-1. No goals to tell you about in the second. 10-6 on the shot board. Long flip, a little cross-check for McNabb. Don't want to get two hands. You get called for a penalty. As this is sent in by Chatfield. 15-26. We'll get a whistle away from the play.
And McNabb threw one or two cross-checks right on down. The idea was that Jordan Staal was set up for the open man at the slot. I believe that was Seth Jarvis who set up at the slot, looking to be the recipient of the pass. The pass was a little too far off, and it went back to the point where nobody was holding it in.
Most points without a goal. Jack Eichel, 11. Chris Kunitz had 10. He has been the assist man. Eichel starting to shoot, as we talked about in his second period, especially in the power play. When he's on that left dot with the right-handed shot, try to go short side. One of those he airmailed in the previous game and then hit the post. These two just got stopped. This is a quick turnaround now for Carter Hart. He makes the pass clean to Rasmus Andersen. Across the left wing. We'll send it in. He did not gain the red, but it was deflected, so that's why we're still here. In the first 5 minutes of the middle frame have expired. It's still a 1-1 game. Jordan with you alongside Alec Nava from Game 5 of the Lenovo Center. It's a 2-2 series tie. It'll be a 3-2 swing game. Stanley Cup will be in the building on Sunday. They did not make goaltending changes. It's still Carter Hart and Brandon Bussy. Carter Hart's given up at least 4 in every game this series, so he's got to be better. Barbashev up the gut. He was looking for Wild Bill, and that is offsides, but it would have been awfully close as he gets a push on Spetch.
I feel the puck did not gain the red line, so that was the basis of the offside call, which Karlsson did not have his feet set behind the blue line. That was the basis of the offside, so that crossed out a great chance for Vegas.
Sure did, as Mark Stone will now get some camera shots. Captaincy has been so good. I think he mixed some of his time alongside for the former Senator. It's been a long time for that. But every time he steps out on the ice, Oh, you could say it about both captains, Alec, and between Mark Stone and Jordan Staal. They just are infectious and they dominate the game in every way.
They are setting the example for the team to set the standard by. Jordan Staal has 6 goals. Mark Stone, he has just 2 goals, but they've been crucial. The first one was a game tie in game 2. The other one was the gorgeous one in game 4.
Yes, it was. That fake slapper finish on the forehand. Colton Sissons try to take this one here for Vegas. On the tie-up, Vegas will get the puck. Again, they are in their road whites with the black pants and the gold and red striping. They'll be going right to left. Brandon Bussey will shovel this in the corner. Carolina, I love those home jerseys that they've had now with the mix of the Canes flags there in the black with the red striping going left to right in this frame. Picked up across the Canes logo. Chipped in, Carter Hart plays it. Got to be quick about it, though. Jackson Blake was trying to bother Braden McNabb. This goes across for Theodore. McNabb gets hit pretty hard, and I don't see a whistle here or anything else. No hand in the air. Vegas plays it ahead. Hertl, touch pass. This is now Sissons, but we're going to get a whistle away from the play as one of the Canes is down. That's Taylor Hall.
He was down on crunching onto his head, and he's begging for the referees to call a penalty. No penalty on the play to see where it was, because that could have been worse, John. He got hurt and banged up.
That was away from our camera shot, so again, no apologies needed on our side, but my guess is Braden McNabb probably wanted to get a little retribution after Hall finished his hit on him, and that was, yes, Braden McNabb away from the camera shot. He got retribution on Hall as we go to break.
Yeah, that could have easily been 4-on-4, John.
Yes.
Hall initially initiated the hit. That could have been interference. And then McNabb, the retribution, that could have easily been roughing away from the play for retribution.
I completely agree. We're going to take the break here. We're still 1-1, 13:45 left to go in the second. We'll give you one more reset. Brandon Bussey, 9 of 10. Again, a 900 save percentage. If you got your hands on your face like the Kevin McAllister and Home Alone, you'd be right. We haven't seen a 900 save percentage in this series yet.
That's diabolical. Neither goaltender has thrived in this series, whether it be Carter Hart or Freddie Andersen to begin. Brandon Bussey, he's been settling in there as the game goes along.
Yeah,
the early goal was one where he didn't have a chance, but he's comfortable in that, and he's keeping Carolina in this game.
Your stat reset, these shots are 10-6. Vegas hits tied at 16. Carolina's done a good job in the face-off circle, 14-9. Vegas did not score on that power play to start the second, so they're 1 for 2. Carolina doesn't have one yet. Both of those penalties were delay of games. As Alec just mentioned, alongside with McNabb and Hall, you could have had offsetting there. But as you get later in the Stanley Cup Finals, you guys know the penalty calls will be pretty much by the wayside unless you get delay a game. They're going to call those every time. But if you're a betting man to say Carolina probably should get the next one, have to keep an eye out on that because they don't have one yet at 13:42 in the second.
Hank Bassett was the last goaltender to win his first career playoff start in a Stanley Cup final game. That was in 1961 with the Detroit Red Wings. Brandon Bussey joins him on that list.
Brandon Bussey, good for him, as you said, the undrafted waiver claim in the mix. He started with the Florida Panthers. He was so good in the regular season. Glad he's finally getting his time to shine now because essentially he almost had about a month and a half off before he get a chance to play again. And now he's called up in the biggest action. This shot blocked before it ever hit Carter Hart. That was a good setup in the middle of the slot after a couple of passes. Eric Robinson's not going to be able to chase this as it is Coughlin. Maybe he thought there was going to be a whistle there, but Carolina able to activate on the forecheck as it was Martinook off the lawn flip. See if Vegas can take a stick chop here. This is in the neutral zone. Very contested. It's like a swarm of bees. Lozon toward the left side blue line. Finally get this sent in. His Ghost have it now. He's been very active alongside with the Red Wings, the Flyers, all that. I always thought he was a good power play specialist. Finally found his home here in Carolina. He's been thriving. He was injured a lot in the regular season, but he was just piling up the points. Rasmus Andersen cross ice to the Calgary boy, Noah Hannafin. send this one down. Scoring chances are 11-1, and yet Carolina's got 1 goal. Again, as Alec mentioned to me a few days ago, in the mix of Jordan Staal, one of his goals didn't even count as a scoring chance, if you can believe that. 10-6 on the shot board. Vegas leads that portion as it's Eichel on the back pass. We're almost halfway through regulation here. We got about 12-20 left in Game 5 of the Lenovo Center as we'll get another whistle.
Another icing, and you best believe that, yes, the Jordan Staal goal, for as incredible as it is, I wouldn't even believe that it would be counted as a scoring chance from the NHL statisticians. But you take what you can get, what's in front of you. With Staal sitting up at the front, Porzingis stick out.
If you're Vegas, it's long overdue that anytime you see Jordan Staal in front of the net, again, we just had that Joe Pavelski type call off that Ehlers shot from way outside of the left side blue line. I mean, he's in there, but he's just throwing it on. That's a perfect deflection. But if you're Vegas, you've got to clear the captaincy out in front of the net. Make sure you get their stick there, tie him up, because he's going to put it in the back of the net, as this will be iced against Vegas at 12:02.
By several feet, and Brind'Amour's parents are here. They were in attendance in Game 4 at T-Mobile Arena. They were celebrating a huge victory for that empty netter from Nikolai Ehlers.
I saw a little bit of the portion of the interview on Sportsnet, and they surprised him when they showed his family. He said, "Come on, guys, you're going to make me tear up." That's pretty cool when you're able to show that for Brandon Bussi, who's living his best life right now. It's an ozone draw here. Sebastian Aho wins it off the tie-up. This goes back to the left point. Spetch will try to get it. It's Keandre Miller. Hold the line. Back in behind the inboards now by Svechnikov. And then Vegas finally try to get this up by a good touch pass combination. See who gets to it now. It's Dorofeev. Back alongside for Will Karlsson. Toward the right side, red line behind Bussi. Carolina's going to escape here. They'll use the long flip. Left side red line. It's bouncing end over end. This is offsides, though. Aho try to cheat out in front of that puck.
What I like from Svechnikov on that defensive play is that he went to the slot just in case there was going to be a Vegas player setting up at that area.
Yeah.
There wasn't after that quarterback.
Yeah, you got to be able to know where you are. Try to be able to get any sort of outstretch that you can, an edge to get up the ice quickly. Both of these teams, we talked about it from the opening of the Stanley Cup Finals preview, can catch you. If you miss an assignment, even by a stride and a half, you're probably going to get beat. So that's a good call by you. Neutral zone draw. Jalen Chatfield now from Slavin. Again, the red Carter Hart's going to be forced to catch this from about 120.
They're showing William Karlsson. He's being looked at the medical staff by Vegas. There might be an issue with his head. He looks pretty banged up on his left hand. So they're going to, I don't know if they're going to ask him to remove his glove to check on the hand to see how banged up he is. But he's going to come out on the ice.
We're going to have to make sure here for Wild Bill. Again, good call there. 2 goals, 2 assists. He just came back about 15 games ago. And then now he's going back into the dressing room. So Wild Bill, that's a huge loss right now.
Yeah, that is. So keep an eye on him. That's one crucial part, that second line with Marner and Howden.
Again, that's another face-off man that you wouldn't have. As Dowd would have get set to take it here. That would have been Karlsson at this point. So they're down a centerman. And now Tortorella is going to get some words, and I don't think he looks pretty happy from the update he got in the camera shot.
No, 50.4% face-off win percentage for Wild Bill. He's one of their better face-off men, and a team that's full of good face-off men.
So we're guessing here maybe extended time loss from what we saw from the whispering. There is no penalty. Another hit there. Dowd tried to chase it. Back around Stankoven gets spun. It's loose in the middle of the slot. Carolina going to get to it first. It's Taylor Hall. Across the left wing. Stankoven now off the chip and chase. And this will go right in the glove. Oh, it's a late hit on the other end. This is going to be a penalty against Vegas.
Jeremy Lozon with the cross-check on Stankoven well after he flipped this onto Carter Hart. And if you're in Vegas, we talked about it, John, again and again. Situational awareness. Stankoven doesn't have to puck. He's not eligible to be hit. That's an obvious penalty.
That's a silly, boneheaded, stupid penalty there from Jeremy Lozon. He gets tied up a little bit, And then the follow through, Alec, is what the problem is. Yes, you're going to get tangled up, but you didn't have to finish it down with the hands to force Stankoven down. That's why he's going to sit in the box.
Of course, Carolina was going to take exception to
Yes.
Stankoven getting flipped on down. And Stankoven's laughing a bit. He knows the Canes are going on the power play. And, yeah, why would I not be smiling at that thought of drawing that penalty? That was silly from Lausanne. He should have thought better of that.
Yes, he should. I like that from Stankoven. He is far from the tallest guy on the ice. But boy, does he play with a fire and intensity, Logan Stankoven, the former Dallas Star. He is fit right in with the Carolina Hurricanes. And that really penalty there, again, from the two delay games that you talked about in the mix of Ehlers and Miller. Now, this is a gift from Lausanne, and Carolina's got an opportunity not only to take the lead, but also, while Bill not on the ice, not going to be killing penalties anyway. But this is the time to take out and get a big goal when one of Vegas's key players is out.
Now, Sissons, McNabb, Theodore. That's your penalty kill group for Vegas. Up against Aho, Svechnikov, Jarvis, Staal, soon to be Ehlers after that dump in by Vegas, and Gostisbehere.
Thank you for that, Alec, as this goes the length of the ice. The Brind'Amour, 4 for 11 in this series. Not too bad. Power play goal in 3 straight games. They've been starting to activate of late. At home, Vegas's penalty kill is much better, 90%, about 9 of 10. Just 75% on the road. Not very good. You want to be at least at 80. Sebastian Aho, is he finally going to get a goal? As it's Jarvis. We'll send this back to the point. Gostisbehere. Oh, unloads. It's loose. Ehlers at the doorstep. Carter Hart makes a save, and it's a massive humanity. A little drowning pull at the net. It's picked up now. There was bodies everywhere. Ehlers, Gostisbehere. He works his way in the high slot. Jarvis with a bomb. And Carter Hart will make a save near the left post, but a good start for Carolina.
That was the closest we've seen to Carolina getting just their second period goal of this Stanley Cup final. Sebastian Aho's initial one-timer was blocked in front by McNabb, and instead Jarvis follows through a sharp angle but the placement could have been a little better. Try to go top corner on one of your one-timers. He went that way and was game 2 overtime winner.
Seth Jarvis, Sebastian Aho, I do like that. They had some lanes to shoot with. I'm glad that Aho did not hesitate. Sometimes you get in your own head when you don't have a goal just yet here in this final side, but he's too good of a player. You got to keep pressing. Stankoven back out there. Here's Blake with a ripper. This one fought off by Hart. Wrapped him behind the net. Quick pass! And this one was robbery on Staal from Hart. He would have had another one. That was a gigantic save for Carter. Picked up now by Nikishin. And he will hold on to it to the left side dot. We're halfway now through regulation. It's still 1-1. Carolina get their first power play. Jackson Blake wiped out near the right side of the boards. Ehlers keeps it alive, high slot. He'll skate with it. Now work his way to the left. That's poor. That does not stay in. Nikishin got to go back around and pick it up. He will let everybody get settled here. Carolina wants to get up the ice. Nikishin taking too long as Taylor Hall will throw it back. Stankoven now try to carry, and this is going to be Ehlers finishing off his hit. Vegas, they could counter here. Here's Howden. He will take a big hit against the boards. They'll pop back up, though. Nikishin now for Blake. Now here's the race. Taylor Hall. This is just too far the other way. And a big crunch by McNabb. He's been a bowling ball here, but he did a little too much on Blake.
40 penalty. So that's a little too much contact along the boards for Brandon McNabb on Jackson Blake. And that's going to be 2 minutes for McNabb as he gets to sit. Carolina will get another power play chance after the first one just expired.
That's the thing, is every time we've had either a Theodore or McNabb penalty, yeah, that's boarding. He's already falling down. That was dangerous. But anytime you got McNabb or Theodore in the box, that does not spell well for Vegas. We'll take another break. 9:03 left to go in the second. It's still 1-1.
Yeah, that's been looking good. What am I seeing here in the second period? A demolition derby or a hockey game?
Yeah, you're seeing both right now. You're seeing both teams give as good as they get. As we're getting late in this series, again, it is tied at 2 games apiece. This is more like the series I thought we would see for the nip and tuck, for the lack of goals against. Again, we were seeing a pinball machine light up across the board in the first 4 games here, but I'm glad we're getting a defensive battle right now.
This is the game that we were expecting in the Stanley Cup final. Not those high-scoring matches, but for two teams that pride themselves defensively, we see more of a defensive battle. And likewise, John, I'm glad that we're getting a defensive battle this time around.
Carter Hart, 10 of 11. Brandon Bussy's still 9 of 10. So for all those shots, again, you talked about Carolina had Vegas been able to block those. I haven't seen that updated on my ESPN screen other than that. So when I said Bussy about 9 of 10, 7-8 minutes ago, it still stayed that way.
And so no update on William Karlsson. We're still looking at his wrist. That would be huge if he can't go for the rest of this game. And for someone who's so reliable on his own end and on the offensive end, this would be major.
And I know that there's depth. Again, we're not going to argue that for Vegas. But you take out Will Karlsson, that just means you're going to have to add either more minutes to Colton Sissons, Cole Smith, or Keegan Kolesar. And I'm not saying they couldn't fit in roles, but honestly, Will Karlsson's still a guy you could put in a top 6 forward role, and he can get you offense. You're going to lose a lot of that if you don't have Wild Bill.
Yeah, that's going to be a big loss.
So Brayden McNabb, he's busted for a cross check, almost the same thing as the board nonetheless. That was dangerous on Jackson Blake. And again, as we said, anytime you got one of the big boys in the box for Vegas, it's usually when Carolina scores. You can't really replace McNabb and Theodore. Gostisbehere. 9 minutes left in the second. Slap shot block. Ghost can't hold it in. That was a good clear by John Tortorella's squad. Shot board's low. It's 11-10. Both of these goalies have done what they needed to do. The save percentage has not been ghastly in this one for once. But this next goal feels like the biggest, not just at this portion of the game. I'm not saying it's going to win the game, but this feels more like a 3-2 than anything else. And that is a good thing to say for once. Sebastian Aho. Now for Nick Ehlers near the right side dot. Here's Ghost. Will just barely hold the line. Lead now for Ehlers. Loves to shoot it. Aho keeps it alive. Will curl it toward Gostisbehere. Near the right side off the one touch. Aho. It's Ehlers now to play the right board. Kara. He will slow up. Svechnikov touch pass back near the left dot. Ehlers still looking for a lane. It's Svech trading places. Now to Gostisbehere. High slot. Svech shoots. He scores! What a shot for Svechnikov!
I apologize for those who are watching the Twitch stream right now and reacted before the goal call. Oh man, Andrei Svechnikov, who had just one goal in the Stanley Cup final, he let it rip from the right circle off the touch feed from Ghost. No hesitation. Finds the far side. Of course, uses Lozon. He nutmegs Jeremy Lozon. The shot goes almost between his legs or goes by him. What a rip. No chance for Hart to see this at all.
That's through the legs of Lozon and Carter Hart. Give me a double.
A double nothing. That's filthy, John. Oh, man. I need some soap and water for this. That is filthy.
What did we say? You got McNabb or Theodore in the box. Carolina going to score. I've been punching that ticket all series. Not lying to you here. That's where the momentum's been. You take those defensemen off the ice, Carolina's got a huge advantage. Vegas has depth, but you can't replace those two. Hannafin now. And now you're thinking about not having Wild built or the rest of it. Carolina has got to answer and take this game. At least as I said in the open, guarantee themselves a Game 7 should they need it. Now, while Bill, depending on his availability, get 3 days off all the way to Sunday. But again, there's still a long way to go. 7:20 left to go in the middle frame. It is now McNabb. Back around for Theodore, so top line quickly out there. It feels like Rasmus Andersen and Noah Hannafin just had their shift. Jackson Blake gets the steal. Blake pivots, works his way now. This one's blocked before it ever hit Carter Hart. Carter Hart's still going to give up 2 more before he gets to 4. That's been his number throughout the series. Brandon Bussy's only surrendered 1. Very patient and behind his crease. It's picked off now by Taylor Hall. Will spin and turn the zone in. He'll cough it up. Here is Sissons. Good back check there for Hall. Got some help from Jarvis. Push it up the ice now. Here is Lozon. He'll throw this across. Not a good pass. Have to play this off the backboards here. Carolina can safely gain the red. Throw it back into Vegas' end. Lozon, 6:25 left to go in the middle frame. John here with you alongside Alec Nava. Please, you could join us here for this Game 5, whether it's X, Twitch, or YouTube. They got you covered here. We'll have the written coverage after. Sent back in behind the end boards now. Slapped in across, as this is a Kolsar hit. Picked up now for Dowd. They'll try to trace it across the end boards. Good finish there for Nikishin. Still got some work to do for Brind'Amour's squad. 5:55 left to go in the middle frame. Aho takes a hit. We'll have to pop back up. This is collected into the neutral zone. Now back skate. It's Noah Hannafin. Hannafin now left side red line. He'll throw it in. Brandon Bussey will give the signal. Rasmus Andersen fake the slap shot. Had to skate it in behind the end. He couldn't shoot it quick enough because he couldn't pick up the puck. Keegan Kolsar. Now for Rasmus. Can he walk in? Back in. Oh, what a play defensively there for Gostisbehere to blow it away. And then a huge hit by Vegas. As this one sent in. Starting to really percolate this second frame. This game's getting fun now. As this will be gloved off the back skate. That was Staal. Keeping it alive. Into the neutral as someone blows a tire. That's Mitch Marner off the drop and Carter Hart. This gets blocked. Turn around Staal. No. As this is deflected, Staal finishes his hit. Long flip goes back down. And Carolina can pick it up. Towels waving. Everybody get loud at Lenovo here as Carolina is just taking a 2-1 lead from Svechnikov a couple minutes ago. Touch pass. Beautiful from Marner. Leaks out Eichel. He'll work in behind the net. He throws it past to no man's land. And that'll be sent back down. Carolina can take it left to right. What action we've had. It's been breathless. Ehlers now. Try to go coast to coast. Here's a breakout. Howden! Oh, it's a stick lift at the end, and Bussey doesn't have to make a save. Another great play for Carolina's defense. They've been splendid here in this middle frame as it's sent in behind the end boards. Howden's the right guy they wanted, but he ran out of room. This is sent back down. Those towels continued away from the excellent plays that we've been getting. Rasmus now from Hannafin. Push it up the ice. And this will get knocked away across center. Played back down by Carter Hart. Touch with the goal stick. Down to 4 minutes. Svechnikov. He's got the only goal. He gets hit up high as the play's still going on. Dorofeev across the left wing. On the backhand puck protect, Bussey didn't have to make a save, but it's still kind of being bowled over toward the left side dot and loosened behind the net. Bussey really isn't looking behind him here. You got to be careful. As Braden McNabb can't hold the line. And that's going to make the crowd very happy. Tomas Hertl gets it across the left side red line. No drop pass. They'll send it toward Bussey. Big rebound. And Barbashev's not going to be able to get to it. Hertl now trying to join in on the fray. This time is ticking quickly here in the second frame. That's good news for the Carolina Hurricanes fans. Lozon shot way wide. Hertl finishes his hit. McNabb will do so as well, but this will belong to Carolina. It's a 1-on-4. Carolina's only got the one. Shot misses the right side of the glass. End to end we go. Keandre Miller, left side blue line. I feel like if we get a goal here, voice register is going to explode. Picked up now as this is recollected here. Ehlers toward the right side red line. They'll sit it in behind the end boards. This has been the longest stretch of play we've had in this series so far. Tomas Hertl. This will get recollected across the Carolina logo. 2:40 left to go in this second. It is Hart stopping it behind the net now for Lozon. Will crisscross. They mixed out with McNabb. Don't have Shea Theodore out on this rush. Here's a pass. It's Marner. They'll leave it. Now for Howden. Howden tried to wrap it on in front, and that goes out the outside of the cage. Here's a slapper from Theodore, and that will get blocked. Carolina escapes the danger near the left side red. They'll chip it in. Still without a whistle. 2:10 left. Trying to find Svechnikov. Touch pass. Scores! My goodness! It's a hole!
Finally, John. Finally. The long shot is over for Sebastian Aho. And I don't want to say hello to one of my friends watching along with one of my friends I know from college. But right after the best defensive sequence that I've seen from the Hurricanes all game long, the Shane Gostisbehere block shot, the defense did its part its own end, denying multiple grade A looks from Vegas, in which it could have resulted in anything. The Brett Howden breakaway, in which Carolina recovered right on time. Here, Aho is on the receiving end of a nice touch feed, and he roots it. The one place Hart has uncovered, and he makes no mistake. What a time!
Walker with a gorgeous pass. Aho collects it on his skate blades, roofs that thing over Carter Hart. It was about 9 minutes of unbroken action, as you said. Carolina, about 4 sparkling defensive plays that could have went the other way. Instead, now we get a 2-goal swing. Carolina up 3-1, and it's deafening inside the Lenovo Center.
These fans have waited 20 years for a Stanley Cup.
That was the most electric sequence we've had inside this series. That was a privilege to watch Carolina play that well. Again, we talked about the inverse, didn't Alec and I say, before the start of the second period. Carolina's certainly done that. Gostisbehere tried to set it up now. Here's another wrister that goes just wide of Carter Hart. They're buzzing now. It's worker bees for the Carolina Hurricanes here. Finishing checks, creating defensive plays. They are looking locked in right now. In Vegas, without Will Karlsson, needs answers, and they're not finding it here. 90 seconds left to go in the middle frame, as this will be chipped back in one more time. It's Rasmus Andersen now for Noah Hanifin. Got to play this quickly off the crisscross. Carolina tried to steal. Send it back in behind to Carter Hart. It's Taylor Hall back at the point. Slap shot. This one fought off. It hit Noah Hanifin and hurt him on the backside of the skate. 1 minute left to go in the second. Carter Hart will be forced to hold, and that's just going to make the crowd even happier.
Well, now John Tortorella, as we mentioned entering this game, has a major goaltending question. We know Freddie Andersen's out, but now, what does his Torch do? Does he pull Carter Hart before the third period for Adin Hill to try and get any spark or any answer? Yeah, those numbers aren't that great, but if you want to get someone who knows what it takes to win a Stanley Cup, you probably want to take Hart out and put Hill in if I'm Torts.
I'm not even going to argue that. My only thought, and again, we're thinking the same thing here, if you pull for Adin Hill, and again, this feels like the inverse from Andersen to Bussey because the game's already over. This is still only 2, but the way that Carolina has played, that's why I get your point. Carolina has played this period like they're up by 5.
Yeah, and this feels like a 5-goal game by the looks of it. It's the third time in this final in which the Hurricanes have scored at least 3 unanswered goals. Unbelievable.
This is awesome stuff. Again, I don't care who you root for. You want to see your team measure up in the moment. Alec, you got to feel so good. That is honestly one of the best second period rushes about 8 or 9 minutes I've ever seen.
This is the best second period that we've seen from the Hurricanes. We thought Game 4 was the best. This one beats it out by the length of the entire country, John. Bar none.
Andrei Svechnikov, his second goal of the series. Sebastian Aho, his first goal of the series. We've been waiting for the top line boys to get it going. And you know what? They've had to take some heavy hits. And alongside Jackson Blake, some silly stuff from Jeremy Loza. We've been talking about awareness. And then you open that door a little bit. Carolina starts to zip that vulcanized rubber around. And Vegas can't keep up with them.
Yeah, Vegas is just lost. They just have nowhere to go, and nobody is knowing where they're at, save for Brett Howden or Mitch Marner. Jack Eichel can't get going, and he's still without a goal. The best chance he's had, he's hit the crossbar, and he airmailed the shot last game. He pulled a McKinnon as painful as it sound.
Yeah, when you miss that empty net, you had the same of that stuff with McCarr in the mix in between either the Olympic portion of the play or in the Western Conference final. Carolina certainly looks like they would be taking anybody out. Here's another chance. That was Staal on the backhand. I shouldn't be surprised. as Hart had to pick up his goal stick. Shot board is only 15-13, but Carter Hart's goals against right now is 800. Brandon Bussey 923, and that is by far the best. We haven't even seen anywhere close to a 900. As this is 30 seconds left to go in the third. 6 goals in this series for Staal, 5 goal in all 5 games in this series. So he's been dominant in the cup final. That's where you want to be for your captaincy. Bussey stopping him behind the net. Staal had to play some defensive effort. Carolina pretty much going to put an extra man back here to not concede anything. Make sure they can ride a 2-goal lead into the third period. One more rush, maybe? Does this get sent by the inboards? No. We're going to end the second in a frenzy. Carolina dominates, and they take a 3-1 lead after 40.
Love that. I love that from Carolina, John. The fans here have been treated to a defensive clinic, and it was a defensive clinic. For as good as the offense has been for the Canes, this is the best that we've seen from the Canes defense, and it's every member playing their part. Yeah. It feels like for as long as the series goes, Carolina's defense is starting to become more comfortable with the series going through. Now, and the good news, John, the Canes have owned the first period, and we're to a 10-3 scoring advantage. Vegas has the best team by total goals scored in the third this season, but Carolina is directly behind them at second in the regular season. So that kind of washes away the advantage that Vegas had, and it washes it away even more now with Carolina owning the third period as we go through. And that 2-goal lead, this is what I want to see from Carolina in that second period. More defensive pressure, more pressure in front of Carter Hart. Make him look uncomfortable. Get him off his game and make Vegas have a very uneasy decision to make entering the third period about Hart or Hill. But if you pay attention to John Tortorella, at times he's loyal to a fault to his own guys, and that includes Hart, who he coached with the Philadelphia Flyers between these 2 last stops. This is appearing once again where Torts is being loyal to a fault to Carter Hart. I think he has to face the music and make the tough decision. Pull Hart, get Adin Hill in.
So you're going to say it right now? That's what you're going to go for in the third? We're going to see Adin Hill?
I want to see Torts make the decision, but I would need to see it happen beforehand before I can be completely sure of who I'm seeing.
We'll be honest with you. I think Alec and I have done a great job as far as kind of telling you who's got the momentum, where it's been dictated. Again, I've talked about the tennis volley and the back and forth. I said this with Alec, and we agreed. I thought Carolina was going to win this one today. Someone's going to break the inverse of the back and forth wins. It was time to try to go ahead and get 2. And make no mistake about it, Carolina, if they can repeat what they did from that second at all, they should be able to hold on to this third. The way that they've been playing today, as Alec just gave you in a synopsis, should give you all the comfortability in the world that they can lock things down in the third. And we're finally seeing a settling in period. And honestly, we're finally seeing a forecheck that is really starting to wear down the Golden Knights. It feels like a swarm of bees all the way across. Every line that you stretch in between the forwards and defense, I don't feel like Vegas has the answer right now. Carter Hart will take the brunt of the blame because he gets one more against it to be another 4. Not doing enough. Again, the Aho one, he's got no chance. But still, to the last point, I'll give it back to Alec. I talked about Shea Theodore and Braden McNabb. This has been their worst game in the series so far. Again, you just had that penalty for McNabb. They got scored on. They got no points. They're combined -3.
It's Carolina owning total control of this game. Now, here's a stat, John. If we see 4 more goals in this game, that will assure us that we'll have our first 40-goal first time that the first 5 games of a Stanley Cup final sees 40 goals combined between both teams since the Blackhawks Flyers Stanley Cup final in 2010. But to your point, the fact that Carolina is locking Vegas up and making life uncomfortable for them to not generate any chances speaks volumes to how the Hurricanes have amped up the defensive pressure It's been a nightmare game for McNabb and Theodore. They do not remind them of this game. They just want to forget all about this.
Yeah.
McNabb took a key penalty. Shea Theodore's looked lost at times, and you wonder, what does Vegas have to do to get back in this? It's easier said than done, but the first order of business is you need Jack Eichel to get back to the form he was in 23. Sure, the assists and all, but you need him to find the back of the net more often. He's not shooting enough, and the times that he is shooting, he's missing the net.
And I'm not saying this in totality because he'd be the playoff MVP. He honestly could be a playoff MVP even in a loss, like it was for Connor McDavid. But Mitch Marner's only got one shot, and he's a -1. So he's been shut down as well. You got Dorofeev, but that's only on the power play. He's only played 10:46, and Barbashev has only played 7 minutes and 30 seconds. He's got the least amount of time on ice comparison to everybody. So I wonder if Barbashev is just dealing with something, or if it's because of all the power play time. But I'm going to say this one more time, whether it's fair or not. We talked about Rasmus Andersen and Noah Hannafin. I'm not trying to pick on these guys, but they both don't have anything on the score sheet. Rasmus Andersen's got 3 shots. If it's going to be McNabb and Theodore that struggle, obviously the next place I got to go to, Alec, you got to get Rasmus Andersen and Noah Hannafin finding a way to get a goal. They got to contribute something offensively.
Big time. You have to have these two get their act together and fast, because it's not going the way they want it to between Hannafin and Andersen. They know each other dating back to the Calgary days when they were at the same pairing in 22. And they know each other. Their play styles complement each other. Hannafin all around. Andersen offensive game. So you think that these two would benefit, but it's just not happening.
No, it's not. Again, I don't know where it's going to come from here. And again, as we give you the update, for Wild Bill, he still only sits at 8:43 time on ice. And that hasn't moved up since his injury, going about halfway from the second frame. So if they're without Will Karlsson and Braden McNabb and Shea Theodore has played as badly as they are, Carolina should have this one dead to rights. If there is, and I'm not speaking this into existence, Alec, but I got to say it. If there is any sort of situation where Vegas comes back to tie this and gets into OT, I think all of us are going to be upset.
Yeah, because the third period is the period that Carolina has owned throughout this series. We know about this, the propensity that they turn it up a notch. Here in the game 4, they turn it up defensively and offensively. The Jordan Staal goal has been outstanding throughout. And now we're seeing this in full circles in the second period. Erling Haaland's loving every moment of it here in the Carolina crowd.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you, but you just walk me through. I know some of the stuff is painful and alongside with the Florida Panthers and Carolina, but I know those series were battles. You had 4 overtime, double overtime. I know some of the stuff was low scoring and the series might not have gone the way you wanted to as far as games. But I think this is the best version of the Carolina Hurricanes I've seen yet.
Yes. Even when we get the 1-for-8 playoff format, we're still seeing the best version of the Carolina Hurricanes throughout, up and down the lineup. Now, let's assume we see the 1-for-8 playoff format. I think that we were going to see the same result if the Canes were to face a team like the Tampa Bay Lightning in a normal format.
That's fair to say, because the way that they move this puck, the way everybody's contributed between your forwards and your defensemen, you're finally getting some goaltending help now. Hell, as we talk about, if you can get your forwards and defensemen to still do what you're doing and you get adequate goaltending, now you're more than adequate because Brandon Busty 11 of 12, then Carolina's got everything they need and they can get a chance to take this home. So it's looking good right now. Again, we got 20 minutes. I'll take the top set of 10. I probably won't take all 10. I'm going to leave this here for Alec. I want to make sure he can close. And then, as I mentioned, anytime with the Stanley Cup getting lifted, have him close. He'll get that set because it's his team. And hopefully maybe, I don't know, 6-7 years down the road, if we're still doing this, maybe I can call the Red Wings at some point. Maybe they'll be going through another rebuild. It's 15-12 on the shot board for Carolina. 30-27 on the hits. Vegas has that edge. When you have that edge like that, that probably means you don't have the puck a lot. 22-12 on the face-offs. Carolina is up by 10 there. Power plays 1 for 2. And those are some brutal penalties that Vegas had taken. They really shot themselves in the foot. Block shots, 10-8, not a ton of those. Giveaways about even 11-10. So this game's pretty tight, but I think about the Vegas mistakes. Igniting Carolina. We've talked about that all throughout this series, no matter what sport. And I'm going to say, as I mentioned in the open, I think Carolina is going to take this game 5. They'll put themselves in good standings. I have no worries about what they can do on a Sunday. I would expect Vegas to bounce back. I would expect them to be happy to have 3 days off. Maybe we'll figure out what's going to happen with Karlsson as early as the 3rd, or maybe not in 3 days from now. But Vegas is going to take a long, hard look in the mirror, because everything that Alec mentioned about Adin Hill not coming in yet, I mean, maybe this is the time, because you can't play much worse.
Yeah, we mentioned about one aspect that's been common throughout the Stanley Cup final, the NBA final, and we even saw today in the opening game of the World Cup final. I'm going to get to that now. Situational awareness. Mexico understood situational awareness and took advantage of South Africa all throughout. What we're seeing in Carolina's second period is basically what Mexico did to South Africa through that entire game. Just completely dominated their whole pitch against South Africa. 1.46 expected goals, and South Africa's expected goals was just 0.07. They couldn't get anything going. And Mexico had possession all throughout the entire game and created all the great chances. And they capitalized on it with Julian Quiñones in the 9th minute, Raul Jimenez in the 67th minute on a header on the cross pass. Quiñones on a failed clear by South Africa. And what I saw was that South Africa looked lost. They were out of sorts defensively. They couldn't get set. Mexico had the better game plan around thanks to manager Javier Aguirre. And the moment everybody wanted to see in Mexico City and Estadio Azteca, the debut of 17-year-old Gilberto Mora. He's a sensation all across the country, and everybody wants to know how he's going to do. He did shine in last year's Gold Cup, and I'm happy that he's getting the big minutes here for the Mexican national team. This kid's going to be special. I didn't expect to go out of him, but later down the line, in future World Cups, big things are going to come from Mora, the 17-year-old.
If you get a chance to do that at 17, you get a chance to play in the World Cup at all, you've got to be some kind of special, especially if you're playing for the Mexican national team.
Oh, yeah. And you're on a team that they do have some history with Chicharito Hernandez and Andres Guardado, two of the best Mexican national players of all time. And Guillermo Ochoa, who after this year's World Cup will announce his retirement from soccer. And what a good start for Mexico. They pick up a win on their first game, which was much needed because they struggled in their first game in the past. This is a big win for them in a group in which it features South Korea and Czechia. And this opening game saw a combined 3 red cards, 2 of them against South Africa for what they deemed as violent conduct. And the one against Mexico was also deemed as violent conduct. So Cesar Montes, Stefano Sitole, and Bemba Zwane will miss the next game for their respective clubs. Montes is going to be a huge loss because he's one of the better center backs on the Mexican national team alongside Vasquez.
So let me say this, because I'm only saying in the open from what I believe, but between, you just told me Czechia and South Korea in the same group stage with Mexico, so Mexico really shouldn't have any problems advancing?
Should not. I feel Czechia is going to give Mexico a challenge, but
okay.
I think Mexico should take second place in this group and should advance to the knockout rounds.
Okay, that's what I was figuring at least, because Czechia would probably be one of those teams. Again, they're usually a pain in the you-know-what when you think about everything else for hockey, so I would imagine even in the World Cup stage, they're usually pretty talented.
Yeah, and that's the same thing with hockey, thanks to guys like David Pastrnak.
Yeah.
I wonder if he's somewhere rooting for his home country in footy, because right now South Korea and Czechia are playing at Guadalajara. Tomorrow it'll be Canada up against Bosnia and Herzegovina to begin Group B, the United States and Paraguay to begin Group D?
I don't want to put you on blast here, Alec, because again, soccer is not really my strength, although I will thought I'm going to watch some World Cup stuff. But United States, they always kind of underwhelm me. Is there any hope in their group stage? Who are they playing in their group stage? Who do they have?
So Group D is a relatively weaker group from what I'm seeing. So the United States, I think, the strongest competition the States have is Turkey, in my opinion.
Okay. So Turkey, yeah, that would be a team that I could consider. But yeah, so United States have some luck being in a weaker group, but you don't really expect them. Let's say they get out of the group stage, probably not getting much farther than that.
Yeah, probably not much. And I'm not counting out Australia by any means because they can be sneaky, but I think Turkey is the biggest threat for the United States. But USA shouldn't have any problem coming out of a weak group. It's not like in 2010 where you have England in your group.
Right.
And you managed to win your group on the last day on a stoppage time goal from Landon Donovan.
Yeah, and you don't really have Landon Donovan or any of those guys anymore to be able to carry you through all that stuff. That's the one thing I always hope with the United States, whether or not the world's game was ever going to catch up to them, you just want to see them play the right way. And you don't want to, I know soccer's a little bit different. You got to be able to lock things down and win low scoring games, but sometimes I just feel like they don't have an attack.
I hope this changes under Mauricio Pochettino as the manager. I hope to see more from guys like Christian Pulisic, Tyler Adams, even if you get some setups at the box on corners from Tim Ream and Chris Richards. Hope to see that change.
Who's in goal still for the United States? Do you know?
It's a goalkeeper swap. Last time was Matt Turner. This time we're ready to harder hand with Matt Freese.
Okay, I was wondering because I remember I did hear the name of Matt Turner before. Again, we've kind of gone through all of our stuff in terms of the NBA finals. If you wanted to sweep across the MLB scoreboard, we can do that. I'm feeling pretty comfortable here, Alec. I know I'll be getting set to hand it off to you soon, but I feel like Carolina's in a good spot, and I like the way that they played this game so far.
Yep, the defense, the offense, the everything about it. It's been almost perfect for the Hurricanes. The best I've seen the Hurricanes in the Stanley Cup final. We know that one of these teams can be better, and Carolina understood the entire assignment. Defensively, check. Offensively, check. All the chances created, check. If you get to the net front, you get rewarded. If you send bodies to the net, take away Hart's vision, allow for Svechnikov to rip it, or if you get down deep and get onto the top shelf side where Aho roofed it, good things happen.
Yep, Alec gave you the synopsis there. It's just a getaway day for Major League Baseball, so not a ton of games. I did see the Tigers find a way to get an 11-0 win over the Twins. And the one to help, I guess, is that the Guardians have lost about 4 or 5 straight, so the White Sox are in first in the Central, if you can believe that, at 36-31. They got postponed against the Braves. All finals for you, though. Orioles win 7-5. Pirates get swept by the Dodgers, but now the schedule is going to get a little easier.
We came back to beat them in the second game yesterday.
Okay, good. So we got the comeback there, so I don't have to say the sweep. It was 8-6 in this one. So thankfully for that, they were able to get a win. Before that, 9-3 Cubs beat the Rockies. The Texas Rangers beat the Royals 4-2. The Mets win 5-4 over the Cardinals. And then one more for you. Marlins win 2-0. They get the shutout of the Diamondbacks. A little bit surprising there, but they fall to 34-34. We'll get set now for this third. We are having some fun in Game 5, Alec Nava and myself. He will take this back half and close. We'll probably give him a little bit earlier here in terms of the play-by-play. This has been a lot of fun, but the Golden Knights, they tried to play rope-a-dope. They took a couple of big, heavy uppercuts, and they're about to be knocked out if this continues.
Yeah, that's been the case. A little uppercut from William Karlsson. Yes, that is the risk that he was looked at. He went down the tunnel. We need to see an update if he is on the bench. But I want to say something. Can you believe that half the tickets purchased for Game 5 in the NBA Finals are from New York, New Jersey area codes?
Yeah, that's what you got to get, man. I mean, it's so expensive there at MSG, but you got to get as many people in the building, and they want to see something that hasn't happened in a long time, as you called.
Yeah.
This is now up the ice, and this puck is dropped. They try to find Mark Stone. They glove back down to Carter Hart, and he will get the first play of the vulcanized rubber as the 13 seconds have expired. Don't know what's going on in John Tortorella's mind right now, but you got to believe 9-93. They've got to start percolating here very quickly.
They have to. And if there's a tightest strike, it has to be in the third period. 4 points this series for Karlsson. He is not on the bench.
That is a gigantic loss, as we talked about. That was almost halfway through the second. You just can't replace somebody like him because he's the luxury of a third-line center, but he's much better than that. You got depth. Long sail clear, will not be iced. It touches Bussy. That counts as a save. K'Andre Miller, it's turned over. This is deflected. Back of mine, and then Bussy is alert. He makes a good save there on Colton Sissons.
A rather auspicious bounce on Brandon Bussy. It takes a bounce off of Sean Walker's stick, and it flips right onto the glove head of Bussy. That was that pinball right to them.
Got to be able to do that. He's been alert again, as Alec and I talked about. That took a deflection there off the blade, and then he made the save. That's why it was a little bit uneasy. But he has not been scored on here in this third. And I don't know what kind of suit that is. Oh, man. That guy is feeling himself at Lenovo right now. It just says bus. That's what you have there. 16-13, get loud. They got the flashing lights near the Storm Brew zone, and it is a tie-up. This is won by Carolina. They can go right to left. Again, they're in their home blacks in the red striping, and then it'll be the road whites with the gold and white, with gold and red with the Golden Knights, as this will be sent back down for another ice against Vegas.
7-0 the Hurricanes were leading after 2 periods. They were 37-2-2 in the regular season. So Carolina knows how to hold a lead. And I know we said this again, no lead is safe. But if the Vegas does manage to tie this up, I would be shocked.
Yeah, the way that this is going to, who's not available? We talked about Theodore McNabb not having the best games. Eichel and Marner haven't activated. They've been closed on. I'd be shocked too, Alec. Slavin's chance. This one goes up high. Hits Carter Hart. Back in amongst the end boards now. Trying to be kept by Gostisbehere. At the net now, Svechnikov trying to take a sharp angle chance. Another wrister. Chatfield gets blocked. And Marner push it up the ice. You do expect Vegas to come back at least, even if they're down 3-2 in the series, and be much better on Sunday because they just have to be. You go down like this, you're not going to feel very good. As it's sent in amongst the end boards now, Eichel falls down, makes a play, gets into the point, trying to get a deflection. This one wide, and this will be looped back down the ice. Vegas trying to get there first, but it feels like Carolina is everywhere, and there is not a seat available. 18-14 on the shot board. Carolina up 3-1. That second period was absolutely spectacular for the Canes, and one that Vegas would like to forget. Chance on the front of the net. Howden finally got a good opportunity in front, but Bussy was better.
Yep, he went full sprawl to rob Brett Howden of his 15th goal of the postseason. And Sam Bennett has to be exhaling a sigh of relief from somewhere, knowing that he scored 15 last year. A setup off the key from Ivan Barbashev that Howden deflected it. Not enough juice on that deflection for Howden.
No, that would have almost been borderline impossible, even though he was right in front of Brandon Bussy for Brett Howden to finish. He did about as good as he could. No chance, really. As it's sent behind the end boards now. Barbashev at least back out there. I'd like to call his name a little more. If you're a Vegas fan, race for it. Carter Hart fights it off. He's still not in the goal crease. Does not have a stick, by the way. Is this on the left side dot? See if Carolina notices that. Try to get a shot on. As Howden gets it up the ice. And that hopefully allows Carter Hart to get his lumber as Carolina can start it in their own end. 17:45 left to go in the third. It's K'Andre Miller. He'll step up, avoid one hit, gets away from Kolesar, and chip it down deep. And Carolina does not need any more offense here. They've got to make sure they lock down on defense, not parking the bus, but keep their assignments. Don't get beat behind you. Gostisbehere, beautiful stick chop away. This is down. A centering feed, and it's sticked away again by Carolina. That was Martinook with a piece. Down. Put this one back now to the right side wall. and out into the neutral zone. Let's shape Theodore. We'll loop it in an open left side corner. 3 minutes about that set to expire here in this final frame. Joining me with you alongside Alec Nava. This is Game 5 of the Stanley Cup Finals. It's a 2-2 series tie, but Carolina up 3-1. They played so well in this one. This has been their best game of the series, bar none. Vegas, you can say it's been their worst, and we would agree, but they got blitzed in that middle frame. They're not used to that. Slavin on the backhand. He tried to get around a couple of stick chops. And a tripping penalty against Vegas.
Oh, we talked again. Situational awareness. And you hate to see it as if you're Vegas, but Jack Eichel, we talked about him needing to get going. But we say that when he needs to get going, we didn't mean a tripping penalty. We mean scoring goals. We mean getting to the net front. We mean finding your shots. Not tripping Nikolai Ehlers behind the net. That's just a bad penalty to take.
Right in front of the referee, too. Eric Robinson, he was the one on the partial break. He tried to actually loop that over. That would have been like a lob shot in the World Cup, but he got cut off there by Jeremy Lauzon. So for the low light he had in the second frame, that was a good play by him there. And now you got Jordan Staal back out there. I think I might be calling a Jordan Staal deflection goal. I'm feeling that in the heart right now. We'll see what we get there. Tie up. First one, we'll have to do this again. Hurricanes' power play in the first 3 rounds was 12.5. Talk about how bad that was going in. They've been 38.5 in the Stanley Cup final. It's been the best they've been all year. It's Sebastian Aho now after Staal got kicked out. Gostisbehere, high slot. One more would certainly be the death blow against Vegas. At the backside of the net, and this one pops up in the air. Staal gets knocked down. I don't think Vegas would come back down 3 goals, and 3-1 already looks unlikely. Svechnikov, Gostisbehere was cruising in, but the pass was too hard. Pick it up now near the left side dot. Gostisbehere with his head up. It's a tripping call against Eichel. He's one of the best killers across, too, so that really hurts. And they already had Theodore in the box and got burned. Gostisbehere, high slot. Patient. Jarvis, touch. Svech. That one wide. Goes back to Aho near the right side blue line. Work his way to the right dot. Aho back to the point now for Ghost. Patient. Here's Jarvis near the left dot. Cross ice. Aho bomb. And this one is saved. Now that Aho's scored, he's starting to shoot that puck more. Love to see it. Jarvis. Gostisbehere. Now to Seth. He could walk in. Extra pass Svechnikov. He pump fakes. Puts it in behind the net now for Aho. Near the right side dot. Sebastian Duchesne. Gostisbehere. Jarvis bomb. Save Hart.
Once Sebastian Aho finds the confidence to shoot pucks, that's when Vegas has to pay extra attention.
Yep.
Now that Aho's finding the confidence to shoot, even if it's on the power play, Vegas is finding themselves in trouble at this point. The power play is fuzzy, and all it takes is a light switch to switch on. And if we see this power play turn on the light switch and finding the confidence to blast pucks onto the net, one-timers from anywhere. Vegas, we know what this Hurricanes power play can do. One-timers are the circles, and Vegas is caught off guard.
Yeah, they got a lot of skill. They've been moving the puck quickly. Just shoot the puck, get it on net. You got Gostisbehere as a quarterback that moves the puck quickly. Carolina's got a lot of skill, as we talked about. They finally activated. They've looked very good in this game. Stankoven now, starting his own end. Now it's about managing the puck here. See what they can do off this rush as it's hauled. They'll take a shot. This is deflected. Should get picked up by Carolina. Ehlers tried to reach out for it. Blake holds it in toward the right side boards. Carolina power play down to 10 seconds. It's not going to matter if they don't score as long as you don't concede. Hall steals near the left side. He can walk in. It gets deflected. Some work to do there, Hannafin. They cannot keep it in for Carolina, and this will go back down the other way. It is Alex Nikishin now. Start again. And Jack Eichel out of the box. But Vegas starting to run out of time. I'm about to get set to send this over to Alec here in a couple of moments, as this will be flipped back down. Here's a race now. Lauzon picked up in behind the net now. That was Carrier for a moment. Tried to center it out in front. Svech on a backhand, but he ran out of gasoline there, trying to get Jankowski. It's Dowd. He gets tied up with Jack Eichel. And Eichel now will start this in between his circles from his own end. Eichel cross-ice feed. That's not a good pass. And this will bounce. Jalen Chatfield will look for Slavin. That was a quick deflecting play. And this goes back now for Svechnikov trying to find Aho. And that one wide. Eichel now. Carry the mail. Alec, you take it over because I got first alert weather coming in.
Well, here we go. Well, I'll let you know about anything happening here. Is Jack Eichel behind the net? Eichel from the far corner around the line, down low. Slavin there to block off Barbashev. And Svechnikov, who was tied up on the play along the far side, riding the benches. And hoping everybody's safe out in the Midwest. Earlier today, there was a tornado emergency just northeast of Peoria, Illinois. A wedge tornado. Those are no jokes. Icing here against Vegas. Carolina wants to capitalize.
I got a little bit of a picture now, but right when it cut, I just wanted to make sure you could pick me up here. If I can get anything over this last minute, if not, I'll just leave it to you here if you don't mind, as we got 13-19 left in the third. But I'm not seeing much of a Vegas push right now. I'm not saying they need it here in the next 4 minutes, but probably about 6 or 7, Alec. They got to get going.
They have to clear this puck out of the zone and get some rushes here the other way. And we need number 9 to show up if you're Vegas.
Yeah, you got to have that. Continue to take it away here from me if you don't mind.
All right, then. From the right circle, Stankoven gets tied up. It'll be one for Vegas. Dorfeev up the near side. Wide to walk around Nikishin. Nikishin denies it. Dorfeev turns around and Bussy makes the save. Andersen picks it up. Goes behind the net for Barbashev. Barbashev finds it down low for Dorfeev. Eichel setting up. He is well defended. And Eichel is stopped by Bussy. Andersen on the hole. Back down low for Eichel. Eichel tied up by Keandre Miller. 2 former first-round picks. And Miller cancels him out. Here's Stankoven up the far side. Speaking of first-round picks, he fires this wide. Jackson Wade can't hold it. It'll be cleared down the near side. And resetting is the Ghost. Shane Gostisbehere up the near side for Andrei Svechnikov. Sticking to the theme of first-round picks. He'll backhand this deep. And Vegas will take it up. Down the penalty box doors. Carolina wants to clear. Vegas wanting to get 2 back. They need 2. The partial break is denied. Well defended by Brind'Amour. Tomas Hertl sees it go bounce off of him, off Shane Gostisbehere. He'll get it back to him. Hertl back. McNabb waits. Goes across his own blow line, and he'll send this down to limpity ice. Here comes the Let's Go Canes chant. From the middle. Turn away. And Vegas, well defended by Carolina. And here they come. Catching Vegas on James Carrier. Save Hart. And this will go out with 11:50. Carolina leads 3-1. The Lays go Avo in the second period.
21-14 on the shot board as well. They're keeping pace. The only thing Vegas has done well over that sort of the power play is they tried to box up Jordan Staal. Well, it's about time because he scored at every single goal in this series. It took way too long.
No, yeah. I wonder what's the better picture, the Jordan Staal falling down goal or the OG Anunoby tip last night?
Yeah, that was pretty good as well, Alec. I think you're definitely on one right now. I appreciate you picking me up, so I'm going to have you close this out the rest of the way because I think I'm going to be probably a couple hours away from weather, so this will be able to get this one all in. But just in case we get pictures in half and half, I'll have you finish this off. At least it's a good time for that because my apologies, I'll say I probably stole a little bit of that thunder in the second. That's when all the magic happened, but I know you're happy with the score line, so I think it's all good.
I don't mind you stealing my thunder as long as it means Carolina.
I would have said the same thing if it was the Red Wings on that end. So I'm just happy to be able to work with you here. It's been fun to do this wall to wall. Hell, it's been the first time we've been able to get to this marker in the finals where one of our teams has a chance to actually win it. I'm hoping that for Cooper Hopkins down the line. Certainly I'm hoping that for my own team down the line as well, because before I started all of this stuff, I've not been able to call the Red Wings even making the playoffs. So it just doesn't feel very good on my end. But we've seen Carolina get close. They've gotten close, and now they finally break through into the finals. And now they look like the much better team. I do think, and I know you would agree on Sunday, we'd probably expect a better effort from Vegas. but it's starting to feel like Carolina is really finding their footing throughout the entire finals.
Home ice advantage is back and secured. The Hurricanes have taken it. Outshooting Vegas 21-14, so that's 1.5 times more shots. As guess who's back on the ice, John?
Did we get Will Karlsson back?
Nope, it's Jordan Staal.
Jordan Staal is not a surprise. Again, he got his goatee face. He's got that playoff beard going. And I still think he's due probably get another one.
Perhaps. We have yet to wait and see. Here are the Hurricanes as Jacob Slavin plays it to Nikolai Ehlers. And from Staal, can't save Hart. That came close. Off the middle, Slavin pokes it away for the impending attackers as Seth Jarvis gets blown up. And Vegas moves it up. Slavin said no. Who else would it be to say no to a grade A offensive chance? Foot race for this puck. Won by Vegas. Forcing an icing, and Jalen Chatfield is shaken up. He's grabbing onto his face.
That's away from the play in our camera shot. So once we get a replay, we'll be able to tell you what it is. But Jalen Chatfield under some discomfort. Well, we got the top of the blade from Mark Stone caught a piece of Chatfield. Hopefully the visor protected him a little bit.
Yeah, I hope so. I wonder if there's a high sticking penalty coming out of this. Stone is on the bench. And just to remember, if Chatfield can't go for Sunday, Mike Riley is waiting on standby.
Yeah, I think we're going to get one now. Looks like Stone is going to have to go to the box. He didn't mean to do it, but he's going to go sit in the sin bin.
2 minutes for high sticking. I thought there was not going to be a high sticking penalty, so never mind the icing. It's going to be a power play for the Canes.
Looked like basically, Alec, for the most part, that's a good thing. I'm guessing, unless it's the right side of the eye. It looked like it mostly got the visor.
Yeah, I think so too.
So fourth, this is a double minor.
Oh, double minor! Whoa!
So yeah, this is essentially a fourth and fifth penalty against Vegas. You had a roughing against Logan Stankoven from Lausanne, the McNabb, the cross check against Blake, which wasn't needed, the trip from Eichel against Ehlers, and now this one. There's just lack of stick discipline today.
Yeah, the story of the game for Vegas has been discipline issues. They've been dealing with a lot of stick issues, and there is another example. The Eichel trip and a Mark Stone high stick that injured Chatfield and took him out. Aho goes down low over to the far corner. Svechnikov goes back. Aho and now Gostisbehere. Gostisbehere to Jarvis. He can step into it instead. Aho been on the one-timer. Loose puck is now picked up by Sissons. And I'll be amazed if Vegas gets some shorthanded goals, or as much as we had a lack thereof throughout the length of the Stanley Cup final, even though you pointed out that we would not be surprised if we saw some. Jarvis drops for Aho. Goes back to Jarvis. That penalty! That would have been gorgeous. It's still 3-1 as Gostisbehere walks the left point. Over to Ehlers, who subs in for Jordan Staal. Now back for Gostisbehere at the point. Gostisbehere walks in, steps out, goes to Ehlers again. They play some more catch as they exchange point looks. Svechnikov far half-boards. Aho walked off by Howden. Svechnikov stays with it, but Howden was there to muscle him out. Marner sends it away. 1 minute gone in the Stone double minor. As is the Keishan, the second game out there, and at times Brind'Amour is comfortable starting his second power play unit on the ice. This time he's used his first unit to start off for the majority. Hall goes to play, gets sticked away, recollects. It is Jankowski waiting with it. The Keishan, the power play gets set up again as Stankoven goes back. The Keishan waiting up halfway through the bird. Blake speeds in over to Stankoven. Open his hole! But Vegas was a step ahead. They recognized that Stankoven was about to pass and forced him off the puck. But now Lausanne off the ice. The Keishan waits, and he fakes the drop around down. The Keishan goes across the ice, racing up as Taylor Hall. He can walk in, draws the attention, now backs away for the attention. Hall's pass is blocked. Stankoven on the keep once, in trouble with Andersen as Hall goes down. Down. The clearing is blocked. Now it's Sissons. 1-on-3. Boom! Shakalaka! What a hit! Uncoated Sissons. He got washed out clean as we're past the first half of the 4-minute penalty. The first year's back out again. Shane Gostisbehere steps around 3-on-2 as Carolina enters. Alo goes over to Ghost. Now goes back for Ehlers. To Svechnikov! Score! Andrei Svechnikov! Doubles down on an advantage!
That's a pretty passing and puck movement for Carolina. Now, again, as I first started up with Sports Guy, this was a team that I covered a ton. This is what they usually would do on the power play. Ehlers late arrive. What a spinorama pass. Gets it toward the right side. Svechnikov throws it into an open net. One more time, Alec. Carter Hart's given up 4 goals.
If I had a nickel for every time that Carter Hart gave him 4 goals in a Stanley Cup final game, John, I'd have 5 of them. It's insane. There's no way that a goaltender could be this consistently bad out of Stanley Cup final game and Mitch Marner shaking his head. Now John Tortorella may be thinking, oh boy, I have to face the music now.
I don't know what else you can do. I mean, at this point, I never get into the play-by-play. I would start Adin Hill at home on Sunday.
At this point, I would think so too. If not, you can call this series wraps. And I'm not joking here, even from the Carolina side. Dump in here from the far side as Ehlers has 3 assists in this game on 15:35 of ice time. And that beautiful spinorama pass, this is why you give him the big bucks. 6 years, 8 and 8.5 million per. And he's going to be here in Raleigh for the next 5 years. Swinging a miss on the dump in as Stankoven was tied up. And you remember the Stankoven and Blake extensions kick in next season at relative bargains too. Stankoven tied up from behind the net. It's a 4-1 lead for the Hurricanes. Long shot, save, Bussy rebound as Blake ties up his man. The cross-ice pass, Barbashev was all tied up in the slot by Keandre Miller. It goes down low for Tomas Hertl. Barbashev locked up. Slavin defending the inbound pass. The equivalent there is Conklin sends one towards the net, and Bussy turns that away. Here's Staal picking it up. Down, boxed out, goes to Conklin. Conklin to the net. Save, Bussy! He has his trapper and will cover.
The more this series goes along, and the more, again, as a neutral observer, I get a chance to watch Brandon Bussy, there's a calming presence from him, isn't there? The fact that Carolina is finally getting some goaltending on their behalf when everything else has been firing in all cylinders, again, it opens my eyes from what you just said as we go to commercial break for Nick Ehlers, and that value is really good. Let me ask this now. I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but let's say the Canes win the Stanley Cup by the time we get to Sunday. You talked about Jordan Binnington, but if Brandon Bussy ends up being the hero, you probably don't even have to worry about making that move.
You probably don't. Or maybe you still do, depending on circumstances.
Right.
If you want to ride a tandem of Bussy and Kochetkov, and then look throughout the season, evaluate where you are, and then look at all options, then look at everyone else's teams or who was a seller, evaluate the goaltending market, and see who's available at that point. If you still decide to trade for Binnington, whether it be during next season or in the off season, I still wouldn't be mad if you're Carolina.
No, because I mean, you look at it as we talked about throughout your forwards and your defensive core. It's not like you need to do much else. And I know some other fans and X, it could be a very tumultuous place because everybody, it's like a cesspool. They think they know everything. There's a reason why Carolina and Tulsi and all those guys locked up players like Stankoven and Jackson Blake and everyone else very early. They knew what they had, and they're coming through in spades. And like you mentioned before, you get Ehlers to be able to bring in from Winnipeg. You already knew how good he was. Taylor Hall, in a lot of people's minds, not to me or you, but a lot of people's minds were considered maybe a throw-in afterthought. But every single one of these guys are thriving, and they just look so darn good right now.
Yeah, as has been the case all postseason long since we're back here on the ice. Carolina missed out on Jordan Binnington. No big deal this postseason run. Carolina missed out on Scott Watson. No big deal this postseason run. Freddie Andersen started off nice as we have a whistle here. Brandon Bussey's picked up where he left off. And Mark Jankowski has filled at the fourth line very impressively.
Yeah, and as you said, I know this goes without saying, you thank Freddie Andersen from everything that he did to get to this point because he's a huge part of lifting the Stanley Cup. He just needed a little bit of extra effort to get over the line, so you insert Brandon Bussey.
Well, how about some Freebird, John?
Always love that. When you're playing Freebird, that just makes you know that you're going to do something and lift something important.
Svechnikov is tied up in the near corner. Vegas has it. They have a mountain to climb here in this third period. Down 4-1. Colton Sissons, the former Predator, takes it in. And tied up is Howden. Gets the shot away. By some miracle, Bussey was more than ready for it. How did he manage to get the shot away with that little space and that little time?
Right now, you got 33 of 34 by Bussey from third period in OT. He has been dominant.
Lights out in the clutch. As Carolina clears this down, no 2-on-1, though the Kings fans here would have loved to see another. And yes, it's Jordan Staal being on the other side of that 2-on-1 for Carolina. 6:25. And Staal was not the puck carrier, but this has been a clinic. Several stick checks. Eichel is in. Eichel drops. Surveys to the right point. Hands up. And stepping in. A backhander. Rebound. Score. Dorothy with another.
You got to have somebody answer. Dorofeev has been a big piece, but again, you still need Marner. Still need Eichel. All these other guys that step up here. It can't just be Dorofeev. This is a backhand right at the net, and Dorofeev's going to get his stick down before anybody else can get in front. He's got a tap in, Alec.
A tap-in goal for Pavel Dorofeev as he picked up backhand, forehand. Now, Vegas did change the lines up a bit. They put Dorofeev and Stone together, utilizing Dorofeev on the left. And it initiated with Theodore onto Dorofeev. And even though Theodore has had his bad moments, you can still say that he's been Vegas' best player in this series.
I would agree. Between that little line, you throw this game out, but he picks up an assist there. Dorofeev now with his 12. Stranger things have happened, although I'm not speaking it into existence here. Still, I don't think there's enough time down at 2 goals with 6:03, but that at least gives Vegas a breath.
Now we speak of stranger things happening. We have seen our fair share of comebacks. Remember, Carolina erased a 4-goal deficit in Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Final. And we speak of the stranger things. Mitch Marner has been on the good side of a 3-goal comeback. Where 3 years ago, the Maple Leafs erased a 3-goal deficit in Game 4 against the Lightning on the way to their first series win in 19 years.
One last thing for me before you take over here. Considering the way that Carolina has been able to have puck possession, I don't even think John Tortorella can entertain pulling Carter Hart around the 5-minute marker because they just hold the puck too well.
Yeah, so far puck possession has been Vegas' best game here, but that's all they can do. 7 points this series for Theodore, 2 goals and 5 assists. Down is tied up. Go to front, Bussey save, rebound blocked, and another one. Sent down to the left point, not out. Hertl on the key. Keandre Miller down low for Sean Walker. And here's Walker's clearing attempt. Boxed out left point. Keep an eye on Carter Hart if he were to be pulled. And Carolina on a long clear. It reaches Hart, so the icing is called off. Here is Nick Dowd again. In the lace, Miller. He gets hauled down. Racing to the puck is Jake Theodore as he beats him out. We're looking at this point, if Hart were to be pulled with 5 minutes left, we're still going to keep an eye on him. He's still in the crease. Linesman jumps. That was Matt McPherson, 83. Puck comes back to Jalen Chatfield. Chatfield goes back to his partner, Jacob Slavin, who uses in the airport. Gets deflected in, so no icing. It is McDowell the first one back. Does Hart get the signal? Mitch Marner tried to do a little too much on that fantasy dance. And perhaps a simpler play would be much easier. This puck goes out. And good thing that Chatfield is back because he got the visor on that high stick, as you mentioned.
Yes, he did. And again, this gets deflected out of play out of some bodies. One more commercial break before it's all said and done. 4:42 left in the third. We talked about Rasmus Andersen and Noah Hannafin need to get on goals. Well, he got stonewalled twice by Brandon Busty.
4:42 left. And one more win for the Hurricanes. And what these fans here in Raleigh are hoping that should they hang on here tonight, that win comes on Sunday.
Let me ask you this. I know it's tough to do from 3 days from now, but let's say Carolina repeats this performance. Even if Vegas plays a little bit better, you think Carolina wins on Sunday?
I think if Carolina has a repeat of
Yes.
tonight, even if Vegas plays a little better than they did here, I think Carolina would still squeak out a tight victory. This game was the best they've seen of Carolina. Vegas just looks lost. Lack of stick discipline and a lack of situational awareness.
You could make an argument in every game this series that Vegas, I'm not saying Carolina hasn't earned it, but Vegas has committed so many penalties and had such poor goaltending play from Carter Hart. They could have won every game in this series if they didn't play so poorly.
Yeah, save for the poor play, you see more discipline here, and I think you have the question here that could be pondered here. Would the Golden Knights even be in the Stanley Cup Final if they decide to keep Bruce Cassidy?
I don't think they probably would have gotten here. Tortorella got them over the hump, but now they're starting to play like Bruce Cassidy's their head coach.
And that's no shade to Bruce Cassidy. He was good in the 2020
Right.
However, it feels like Cassidy ran out of gas.
Yeah, and that's the point that we're making here is the Golden Knights are starting to look like their old form, but maybe the more accurate portion, Carolina, is turning them into that.
For that case, for better or for worse, here is Eichel. Keep an eye out on Hart with 4.5 to go. He gains the zone. Eichel centering pass. Missed everybody. So Theodore has to race back to get everybody on side. Hart staying in his crease here with 4:20 left. Back pass almost was intercepted, and this foot race is won by Chatfield. He backhands it away, but Stone keeps it in. Stone brings it back. Here's Andersen. Hand up. Andersen. Shot. Wide. Held in by Eichel one more time. Eichel over to Dorffield as he surveys near corner. Dorffield from the right circle. Andersen applies. Loose to the front. Swept away. Turns the loop upon the fence here rolling. Now comes down in front. Over to Chatfield. He bucks out Stone. Chatfield wants to play out, and he'll get that help from Hall. Over comes the cross. Stankoven drops. Hall. Over the plate. He waits. He shoots. That's wide. Picked up by Stankoven. Over the far corner. With almost 3.5 to go. Dorffield is tied up. Hannafin and Andersen both there. On the way back. Does Hart get the signal? He wants to get the best scorers out on the ice now. Clock is ticking here, and that pass is intercepted by Keandre Miller. He'll dump this into the far corner. Noah Hannafin places through. Shea Theodore, long stretch pass. Deflected up, and it will go out. No ice. 3:09 left.
They still can't get Carter Hart out of the goal crease. Rasmus Andersen now finally starting to come alive with some chances over the last few minutes. Where has this been and throughout the entire series? He plays better, I guess, under desperation. Brandon Busty has been a brick wall, and that is the right words to use. 3:09 left. Carolina on the precipice from taking a 3-2 series edge in the Stanley Cup Finals.
It's going to be at center ice because it's not an icing. It was deflected in. The officials thought it was an icing, but this puck comes out the center for this faceoff. Howden and Aho. The Knights have been about William Karlsson ever since the midway mark of the second period. 2 goals against on 22 shots tonight, after having 3 goals against on 21 in Game 4. He's been a hero that the Canes have needed ever since the switch from Freddie Andersen. Now Hart goes to the bench. Now this puck exits out the center. It'll be picked up by Vegas. Dylan Conway on the ice. He has to get up. He's replaced by somebody who is best suited for scoring. Carolina places out towards the far side. Now here's Jack Eichel as the Canes make a change. 6 on 5 here for 2.5 minutes. This is played away by Ehlers. It'll be Eichel starting up again. He is Shea Theodore will get set. Eichel, as Howden will skate up the far side. Jack Eichel moves up near side. Cows are waving here. Some 18,000 of them here in the stands. As the puck goes out of play, who had the last touch?
You gotta be kidding me. Nick Ehlers again goes to the box.
Off his own skate and delay of game. That's 3 times that Carolina's been penalized for delay of game, and it's all been off-season additions.
That is really unlucky, at least on the second one, at least for Ehlers. But here you go. It's going to be 6-on-4.
And Vegas is going to use a timeout. We have an update on William Karlsson. He has left the arena for further evaluation on his wrist.
You might as well get that all done and squared away and get to Vegas. And whatever they got to shoot him up with by Sunday night, you would expect them to do so. I'm no doctor, but they got to get him in the lineup.
Biggest kill of the season, regardless of the situation. Even if it's a 2-goal lead, this is the biggest kill that for this Carolina Hurricanes franchise here in their history. 4-2 lead, you're defending a 2-goal lead, and you're going to go up against a 6-on-4. We'll see what the defense has in mind with Tim Gleason.
Yeah, you're right. And at least at the very worst, you got to make sure that you kill a lot of this time off the clock if Vegas does score first.
What does Joe Ward, the assistant coach, have drawn up? Based off win by Hertl with help from Eichel. Here is Theodore, the quarterback. Over to Eichel. Normally Marner's the quarterback. He set up at the slot. Theodore walks. A long shot. Hertl in front. Swept away once, twice, and it's played out. And because it's a penalty kill, it cannot be called an icing. 1:55 left in the game. Here is Jack Eichel, moving up the middle. He has to get going. If there's a time to do so, it's now. Eichel, set up pass, blocked up. This will go to Marner. Over to Eichel's far corner. Eichel looks. Now drops all the way for Marner. Marner fakes it. Now fires at the bucket. Side Bussy off a stone. Eichel on the retrieval. Theodore holds it. 2-goal lead. Theodore fakes it and almost lost it. He gets it back. Walks. Eichel, top of the left circle. Theodore pass again. Loose in front. Bussy. Full sprawl. He has it. My, oh my. Start the engines on the bus. It's not stopping here.
That is a robbery in off the inboards. Tomas Hertl tried to play that as beautifully as he could. It bounced off the right of the post from the point, and Bussy still able to make the save as Hertl couldn't get enough on the backhand.
Oh, Tomas Hertl has got to be fuming how he didn't score on a great chance at the bottom. And Maria Genji was just joining us. You just joined at the best moment. What a save!
Yeah, fellas, I've been working all night, so I haven't been able to join, but apparently I joined them at the most highlight-worthy moment of the match.
Hart Stone drops, Theodore, with blast! Another save by Bussy! Dorfield has it again. His pass is blocked by DeAndre Miller. Now here's the board. 1 man to go! 45 on the penalty. Theodore picks it up again. Shea Theodore. Across for Eichel. Eichel goes to Dorfield. Now left side for Hertl. Back for Dorfield, who's boxed out. Near side, or far side, excuse me. Eichel's pass blocked. Another sweep. Up Theodore. Race for the puck. Now you got it. Blocked up. Theodore keeps it alive. 20 seconds left. Marner. Dorfield. Over to Eichel. They're all discombobulated out there. Not knowing where to get set up. Fans on their feet. It's picked up by Andersen. Cans it up by Sheffield. Down to Liberty Ice. Near side. That's going to do it for the penalty. And the game itself. A 4-2 victory is within grasp in 10 seconds. As Andersen slaps on the leg. The Carolina Hurricanes are 1 win away from the Stanley Cup.
They're going to blow it away from .5. That's it. And that's all. Brandon Bussey again able to stand on his head, finally get goaltending in this series of over a .900 save percentage. Stops 21 of 23. And again, that spectacular second period in which the Carolina Hurricanes took over and dominated. They carried it over into the third. And indeed, as you said, Alec, one went away. Sunday night could be their dream fulfilled.
Oh my. Brandon Bussey is your hero tonight.
Yep.
Your player of the game. Bar none.
Yep.
For the Andre Svechnikov 2 goals, the Nikolai Ehlers 3 assists. Bussey is the man of the night.
Boys, I said it in the open alongside with Alec. I feel like we were finally going to get 2 wins in a row for one of these teams. I took the Canes today. See that they were going to play an excellent effort. That second period that has been predominantly set by Vegas, they've owned it. It was 9-1 before that. Carolina, complete reverse. Then they make sure they keep the third period in front of them. They keep that lead. They played their best game of the series right now. And as Alec mentioned, Ian, you had Will Karlsson was taken to the hospital in terms of a wrist injury. We don't know his availability 3 nights from now. Vegas can't necessarily replace that. So they are on the back burner here for Sunday with their tail between their legs.
Damn. Wow. So Jordan Staal continues his goal streak. As now 5 straight games in the finals that he has scored a goal. And what a night for Andre Svechnikov to have his most productive game of the postseason, right? I mean, this is the only multi-goal game he's had this whole postseason. Unless I'm...
Yes, it's the first one. 2 power play goals, and he made them count.
Yep, and of course, Sebastian Aho coming in. Also, yep, this was the most complete game the Hurricanes have played, and they have a shot to close it out. Next game, it might be it. You know, it'll be in Vegas, but if you have a chance to put the nail in the coffin, take it.
All you got to do, Alec, again, we talked about it. The second period was the most electric. It's the best hockey that I've seen from a single team in a span of about 9 minutes. We all saw it. That'll be something that will be replayed in Carolina Hurricanes fans' minds for the rest of their lives if you end up getting that stuff on Sunday. They played flawlessly in that span, and they pushed Vegas around. No problem in that point. Again, I said if they can repeat any portion of that, they will win on Sunday. And I'm fully expecting, with the Stanley Cup in the building, maybe a neutral, muted celebration, because there's going to be a lot of Vegas fans in the building. But they got to expect Carolina punched them in the mouth, and they need to be able to respond. And honestly, for the first time in this series, we can say it. I don't know if Vegas is up for it.
Yeah, I feel the same way too. I don't feel Vegas may be ready for it a moment. If you look at them play in this game, even if game 3, I call my shot that even if Vegas won game 3, their momentum shifted to Carolina the moment Bussey was put in the net.
Yes.
I understand that way. The Hurricanes have backed it up, and I've proven correct about the momentum shift.
So we're going to find out once and for all. Again, I would lean with you for John Tortorella as far as him probably not making a change, even though we said if Adin Hill was going to play, probably should have played today. That's going to take a big brass set of you-know-what if Adin Hill comes into Game 6. He was a Stanley Cup winner 3 years ago. They need to do something about Carter Hart. Every single game he's given up 4 goals. It's another 4 goals here. You're not going to get the job done on Sunday if that continues. So we'll see if those changes are made. I'm going to get the heck out of here before the severe weather. You guys be good. I'll see you Sunday.
Yes, sir.
All right, we'll see you Sunday.
4-2. That's your final. Carolina 1 win away from lifting the Stanley Cup. That second period was phenomenal. And we'll see if we get more of that You guys be well. I'll see you Sunday as long as I survive the weather. Peace. Carolina up 3-2. This is going to be fun. See you Sunday.